railroad tracks. Railroad tracks are more dangerous than you think. See tracks, think train. For more safety tips and information, visit seatracksthinktrain.org.
Oh, the book lover's heart. It's too healthy for words.
And the nature lover's heart, it flies high with the birds.
See the art lover's heart, throbbing vibrant with color.
And the food lover's heart, it's as sweet as a cruller.
Hear the music lover's heart, how it's always in tune.
And the night lover's heart shines as bright as the moon.
But the heart of someone with pulmonary hypertension, PH for short, labors. PH puts unbearable stress on the heart, which can cause death from heart failure. And it's often misdiagnosed as asthma. But with early, accurate diagnosis, new treatments are helping people with PH live longer and better. The Pulmonary Hypertension Association gives hope to PH patients and caregivers. We want people to have
a heart that is strong for a life rich and long.
We're putting our heart into finding a cure. Learn more at phassociation.org. That's phassociation.org.
Hey, it's Nick Cale, and we're getting ready for our next Veteran Spotlight. Every month, we shine a spotlight on one outstanding local veteran in partnership with the Travis Manion Foundation and their commitment to community service. This Wednesday morning, we honor Brett Adams, U.S. Army veteran and West Point graduate. We'll hear from him about his service and about his work with youth groups, helping to teach leadership virtues and personal accountability. Be here for the Veteran Spotlight Wednesday morning on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
WPHT HD WOGL HD3 Philadelphia from the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios.
Powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. Free speech lives here. The WPHT Afternoon Show.
Welcome to the afternoon show here in Philadelphia on 1210 WPHT. I am Tom Azelby. I am your host today and tomorrow from 3 to 6. And I'm back with our producers, Matt DeSantis and Justin Otero. How are you, men?
Good. Glad to have you back on in afternoons, Tom. It's been a little while.
It has been. I felt like I was once, and I called him our leader, Rich Zeoli left. I felt like Napoleon. I was exiled to St. Helena. But now I'm back. Actually, I didn't even think of it as the Zeoli army. I always felt like it was in the little group, like I was part of the Zeoli mafia. I was like the one Irish guy, like the Irish Westies in New York. Gotti, the Italian family, said, "Hey, let's use these wackos every once in a while." And believe me, the Westies were crazy. I talk about them every once in a while on the radio show that I do every Saturday morning between 8 and 9. Perfect time to catch me is 8 and 9 every Saturday morning. I bring on different types of guests. Obviously, I do the weekend review of what went on that week. So you can always catch me there. Today, you can listen on Odyssey, the iHeart apps. We're streaming on YouTube. You can call in at 855-839-1210 if you're driving up to Delaney Hall in Newark and you got your Kaifa on or whatever that face covering is. Pull it down and give me a call. And we're going to be talking about a little bit of Delaney Hall. We've kind of beaten that dead horse, but I still want to get a few licks in on that horse because I think it says a lot about what's going on in America, and not all bad. I'm not one of those guys that everything I see, I want to jump out the window. Life is about percentages. You just want to see improvement, but that problem there is foreshadowing a lot more to come with the division in this country. And division sometimes isn't all bad, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But I do want to plug Rich Zeoli. I think he is back. That is correct, man. He's back at 6 p.m. with the podcast, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
I'm genuinely surprised he's
turnaround.
back this early.
That I know.
Great to hear,
back. Yeah, it's great to hear. I actually think he's been on Fox, unless I was watching old clips. And I've gotten I've gotten a text from him, but I'm sure he's inundated with people wishing him well. And I'm always grateful to the guy. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for Rich Zioli. So I'm always grateful for that. He's the guy. He's my radio. He gave me my big break in radio, getting me on the station here, which I greatly appreciate. Anyway, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on X. That's the Old Gravy Podcast, or you can call me, or you can find me on Facebook at Tom Azelby. I post a lot of clips there, and I tell you who I'm going to have on, who my guests are going to be. I'm sure you two guys are listening to me every Saturday, right? At 8 o'clock, you're up early after your big happy hour on Friday night. I'm sure you're up, right? I'm sure Matt, when you're out wherever you are in Mountain Time, I guess you got to even get up earlier to hear me, like 5:30.
If I'm in Scottsdale, I got to really commit to listening to the Tom Azelby.
I know. That's what I love about you guys. That's good. I'm glad to hear. Really good to hear. So, it's funny. We're talking. I just saying you guys are out drinking on Friday night. Young people don't drink as much, right?
Yeah, not really. I mean, my friends don't, but I might be hanging out with losers. I'm not sure. What about you, Justin?
I mean, I'd say socially, not as much as like I used to see on on the TV that would present how young adults or teenagers act. I was never really that big of a drinker. Still not that big of one.
Right. No, it's definitely it's generational, and it was even like if I go to the generation, my dad's generation. To me, thank God we slowed it down a little bit. But back then, Matt was saying like his loser. You don't compare. He might have his loser friends. Back then, everyone was drinking. Losers, cool people. Everyone was drunk. It was that was back in the good old days. It's a different world. It's definitely a different world, but not all bad. Because honestly, alcohol is poison, man. You keep loading yourself up with alcohol, you're not gonna. It doesn't end up well. It might be fun while you're doing it, but even then, I mean, it just wears you down. But anyway, I'll get to my guest today. Who do I have on? So I have Katrina Smith. She's a Republican state rep. She's from Maine. She's the assistant minority leader up there. Obviously she's one of us. I assume she's MAGA. I read her Facebook page. She's Second Amendment. She's Republican. But, when you get up into New England, the Republicans could get weaker. But I actually think New Jersey has the weakest Republicans. And I'll talk about the primary today in a little bit. Not calling those gentlemen who got in the race weak. I'm not doing that at all. But up in Maine, that New England Democrat thing. But Maine seems so rugged to me. Like you got to kind of have some hardcore people up there with MAGA, and I'm sure you do. And Katrina Smith's going to come on, talk to me about Maine politics. But I've been following this guy, Graham Plattner. He's the Democrat. He's going to run against Susan Collins. He's the Marine. He had the tattoo. I have some other insight on this guy and what that race is going to look like. So she's going to be a good person to talk to. I'm sure she knows all about this guy. The next person I have on is Frances Martell. She's from the Breitbart News Network. She's the national security editor. She's a Jersey girl. She's from Union City. She writes, this woman pumps out a lot of articles every week on all different things going across the world. Matt, she's a Harvard graduate. Maybe you know her. I have no idea. She lived in Eliot House, I think. Did you know her, Matt?
No, I don't know her, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't think you did. But anyway, it's a big school. I just like bringing that up. Anyway, Maya Salkin, she's going to be on after we have Frances Martell on. And Maya Salkin is with the Free Press, which is now part of CBS. And Bari Weiss, she was the chief of staff of Bari Weiss, and Bari Weiss is now the editor-in-chief of CBS News, which bought the Free Press. So Maya's got Bari Weiss is in the news every day now because all the libs and media are going crazy, and she comes from that class. She comes from that Democrat class. She was a disillusioned Democrat. She's more of a classical liberal. And then when the Democrats went totally kooky, she ran for her life and formed the Free Press and now is running CBS. You might see some changes there. but it's an interesting dynamic that left. But Maya Solkin, as a right out of Columbia, became her chief of staff. So she's a great writer, and we're going to talk about an article she wrote about a kid, 16-year-old kid with autism, getting indoctrinated and radicalized by Islamists online. Crazy story. She actually went out and met the family in the house. Really nutty type of stuff, but it'll be an interesting conversation when she comes on. What else? Oh, I got a couple other things I want to do. And this has to do with, I don't know if you guys must have been up listening to all this. So you've heard this all before, because you guys stayed up to listen to me on the Late Show when I was on like 5 times over the last month from 10 to 1 in the morning. You guys are listening, right? All right. Well, you're gonna have to rehear everything as I talk about it again. So anyway, believe me, late night radio to me is like, I don't know if you guys are young. Do you remember Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
But the Christmas character? Or is there a radio host?
Yes.
Okay.
No, the Christmas. Yeah. Well, I'm going to tie it to radio, because
Okay.
there's a part of that where all the broken toys go to Misfit Island, and that's late night radio to me. like who knows who's listening? It feels weird. It's dark. My whole body's off. It's just such a weird kind of thing. That's why when Walter Sterling was doing it, he's talking about conspiracies and things falling out of the sky and stuff. And, that's kind of gives me that Misfit Island feel when I was doing the Late Show. But what I did do, and you guys will find this interesting, though, well, I'm going to quiz you. So you might. Did you guys ever see the movie Donnie Brasco?
Yes. That's, who's in that?
Johnny Depp and Al Pacino.
Johnny Depp. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but I have seen it.
One of the very few that he's seen.
It came out in 1997. Did you see it, Justin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Really good movie. So I had on late night radio a Joe Pistone on. He's Donnie Brasco. Donnie Brasco was his FBI name. He came on. He actually did Rogan last summer, and he did a really good podcast. But I had a friend. He did a favor for me, and I brought Joe Pistone on. And let me tell you, this guy was great. 6 years. He indoctrinated himself as an undercover FBI agent into the family, and he became part of the family. It's an amazing story. He had to go into the witness protection program, but the Bonanno family, and believe me, once they found out he was FBI, the FBI pulled him out, and a lot of guys in the family, the Bonanno family, paid a big price for getting fooled by him. But anyway, I want to plug something for him. JoePistoneMerch.com. This guy is an American, a great American. He's a patriot. What he did was so brave, leaving his family for almost 6 years. He would go see his family once in a while, but everything was undercover. He was away so much. His wife was kind of like, what's this guy doing? He's an FBI agent. What could he possibly be doing? But there's a great documentary about him, Operation Donnie Brasco. Plus, you can watch the movie. Real interesting. You guys will get a kick out of this. You know how Hollywood always takes a movie and they add a lot of nonsense to it? Creative liberty or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is that what they call it? Anyway, I said to Joe, I go, Joe, what did the Donnie Brasco with Johnny Depp, what wasn't true? And he goes, I never cut someone's limb off with a hacksaw. I never hit my wife, and I never went to a psychiatrist. And they were 3 things that were in the movie that weren't true. I thought it was a great answer. Next thing, the next guy I had on, and I want to plug him. So it's JoePistoneMerch.com. Go buy a hat from Joe. He's great. Mike Madden, the son of the legendary John Madden. I had him on, and I want to promote Muhammad Ali's Fighters Heaven. It's a training camp. It's up in Schuylkill County. It's in Deer Lake, PA. Mike Madden, great guy, funny guy. We told great stories about the NFL, his dad, and everything. But he bought Muhammad Ali's training camp, which is called Fighters Heaven. It's 90 miles from Philly, and it's free. So if you want to take a drive someday, Mike Madden loved Ali so much that he bought the camp, redid it, and you can go get a free tour. It's a museum, so I want to plug that. And the next thing I want to plug is Doug Brunt. Matt, what are you getting a master's in again?
Political science, so it's basically worthless.
Oh, I thought it was a history thing too. No. Anyway, I know, but you must like history. You like politics, you like history, and I'm sure Justin does too. But Doug Brunt, best-selling author, reading his book, The Mysterious Disappearance of Rudolph Diesel was his first book. And then the next book I'm reading now is The Lost Empire of Emmanuel Noble. Doug Brunt, he takes a time in history, he picks out a industrial titan and then ties it into what's going on in the world. Great books. You should buy the book. He's actually married to Megyn Kelly, but let me tell you, this guy is a dynamite author. Get off the reels, get off the websites, start reading. This stuff teaches, it's like a cheat sheet for history when you start reading books like this. You start relating what's going on in the world, and I'm going to do that when we get back from break. So we'll go to break, and I'm going to bring a little bit of this book up into what I see going on in the world today.
Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group doesn't need Google to know you're worried about retirement. Between inflation, rising taxes, and the uncertainty about Social Security, he understands. That's why he offers a complimentary retirement second opinion. It's a no-obligation meeting for you to talk about your concerns about retirement. You want to know if you're going to be okay? Let's find out. 610-894-7415 or go online, retirereadyfg.com.
Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, NPN number 2083768.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mary Claire Haver, a board-certified OBGYN and menopause specialist. My new podcast, Unpaused, is the place for bold, unfiltered conversations about what it really takes for women to thrive in the second half of life. Every week, I sit down with medical experts, cultural icons, and powerhouse women to talk about what really matters. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Listen to and follow Unpaused with me, Dr. Mary Claire Haver, available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Ethos.
Amazon is strengthening its grip over the U.S. supply chain as it offers new freight shipping services to third-party merchants. The e-commerce giant announced it's launching Amazon Supply Chain Services, which provides freight, distribution, fulfillment, and parcel shipping services, including AI demand forecasting and inventory placement models for speed and reliability. Rival shipping and logistics stocks fell on Amazon's announcement. I'm Jason Brooks.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
In Philadelphia, Chase is proud to root for the home team because they're our team too. We cheer from the bleachers and on the sidelines. We cheer for gymnasts and quarterbacks. And with more than 80 local Chase branches and 5,000 nationwide, we are right beside you, Philadelphia. Neighborhood bankers, digital tools, national strength. Chase, make more of what's yours.
JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Keep free speech alive. Follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Welcome back to the afternoon show. This is Tom Azelby. You can catch me every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9. I'll be filling in today and tomorrow. Before we went to break, I was talking about a book and a guest I had, The Lost Empire of Emmanuel Noble. Nobel. It's actually Nobel because it's the Nobel Peace Prize, which his grandfather, he developed TNT, felt bad about it, or his sons did. They blew up, they were used in war. So they said, let's fund a peace prize because we had dynamite, which created a lot of death and destruction. And but when you read the book, this is the interesting part of the book because, what do they say? History repeats itself. No, it doesn't really repeat itself. But I think someone said, Mark Twain said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And when I think of this era, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the Russian Tsar decided like he was gonna open things up instead of it being there was kind of like the super rich, and then there were the peasants and the serfs were almost slaves. I would call it slavery light. But anyway, the Russian bourgeoisie, or the upper middle class, started supporting and funding socialists and liberal reformers. And the bourgeoisie were kind of like, they also didn't want the economy opened up. They wanted some of the political power to be taken from the czars. So what happened is, the people that they started coordinating their efforts with, and think of Governor Sherrill and Andy Kim at Delaney Hall as I tell this story. So these bourgeoisie elites start thinking like, you know what, let's, those peasants and those wacky ones who would become the Bolsheviks and the communists, let's align with them a little bit. They might be able to create enough of a problem that maybe we could take power back from the czar. And then what happened is that little group of, socialists started just getting way out of control. And then they turned. And so basically what happened is they created a Frankenstein that they lost control of. And that's what happened in Russia. And then the Bolsheviks and the communists. First, it was about reform and spreading the wealth and spreading the power. But then it didn't stop there. Then the Bolsheviks and the communists came. And then for 100 years, even to this day, Russia has never recovered. And my point about that is Democrats are doing that. The Democratic Socialists of America are a small percentage of the Democratic Party, but they keep getting stronger and stronger. And they're very open about their when they talk amongst themselves and they post stuff, they don't like the Democrats. They're there. They're like a parasite. They're just hanging on to them. They're using their system and infrastructure just to keep getting power and power. And when you saw those two elites out there the other day, Andy Kim and Mikey Sherrill, the governor, they're standing next to the Kafia crazies and the Antifas and all those nuts out there. And they are, and believe me, one of these kids who got arrested is on the autism scale, was thrown out of Kutztown, allegedly on the autism. He was biting ICE officers. Never mind, he got arrested a few years for child porn or something. So, and there's a lot of these people, and we've seen them out in the streets in a lot of these cities, really nutty people being inspired by some of these leaders who you would think are good Americans with a different opinion. But Andy Kim and Governor Sherrill are out there with these people, inspiring them, encouraging them, and quite frankly, making up that this Delaney Hall is such an awful place. And let me tell you, it was better than any jail, county jail in New Jersey. They were far worse than this Delaney Hall, which isn't that bad. This is just a made-up narrative. And the reason they can't put those illegals who are in the detention center, and they're only there for like 14 days. The reason they can't put them in the jails is because Governor Murphy canceled all the contracts back in 2021. Oh, no, we're not taking any illegals on your behalf. So then they had to hire a private contractor to put them in there, to take over so they can house them. And they're only there for 14 days. I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but I'm coming up on a break. But this is the point. The Democrats are building their own Frankenstein. It's not exactly like Russia, but there are similarities when these elites, to get their political power, will utilize anything they have to get what they want, but they can completely lose control of it. And a perfect example is that Andy Kim in the ill-fitting suit, looking like a chubby Asian woman, running out in front of the protesters and ICE, and they can get hit with pepper balls in the eyes. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Hopefully I can come back and talk about Andy Kim. But for now, let's go to break. We're going to come back with our guest.
I finished a 5K in 94th place, right after a man wearing jeans. They still gave me a medal. I don't want a reward for doing. I want a reward for dominating. Like Daily Prize Matcher on Bet365. I play for free and win real rewards, like up to $5,000 in cash weekly. Unlike that joker in denim. Bet365. Winning is everything. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus only. Must be physically present in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. T's and C's apply.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hit the road this season to watch the Birds. Book your road trip with Fans of Philly. Trips are available now for Nashville, Arizona, Chicago, and London. Travel in style with transportation, a pregame party, and game tickets to enjoy the Birds on the road this season with Fans of Philly. The official travel partner of 94 WIP and the Eagles Radio Network. Book now at fansofphilly.com. That's fans with a PH of Philly.com.
To 15-year-old Harper, buying an $80 vintage rock t-shirt is a great investment. To Harper's mom, this logic has a few holes in it. So she helped Harper open a Wells Fargo Clear Access banking account. With no overdraft fees and tools to track spending, Harper's learning, one heavy metal tee at a time. However you make money work, Wells Fargo can work with that.
Terms apply. Visit wellsfargo.com/deposit disclosures for fees and details.
If you're carrying a lot of credit card or personal loan debt, every month can start to feel the same. All those bills, all those due dates, all that stress. There's a solution that's designed to make it easier for you. National Debt Relief could put you on the fast track to paying off your credit card debt, personal loans, and even medical debt for less than you owe, with just one low monthly payment you can afford. And no, it's not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. It's a real, affordable debt relief program that could save you lots of money. National Debt Relief has already helped over 1 million people with their debt and has thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. So if you owe $10,000 or more, don't wait. Call 800-878-4646 now to see if you qualify. That's 800-878-4646. One call could help reduce what you owe and simplify your monthly payments. Call 800-878-4646 now to find out how much you could save.
Amazon Business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience, paired with delivery options built for business. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Now back to the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios.
Powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations.
This is Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Welcome back to the afternoon show. This is Tom Azelby, your host today from 3 to 6 p.m. My next guest coming up is Katrina Smith. She's a state representative, a Republican from Maine. I'm going to bring her on in a minute because I want you to hear this clip with Cory Booker, who, it's a big primary day for the Republicans here for who's going to run against them, and I'll discuss that later. But I want to play, I think he's on ABC News with, I think his name is John Carl, Jonathan Carl. So let's play that clip of Booker when he's asked about Graham Plattner.
Let me ask you, do you have concerns with the weight of all these controversies that it may jeopardize Democratic hopes to get that Senate seat in Maine?
Yeah, I have concerns. That guy has questions to answer, and that's what campaigns are for. But when I go all over New Jersey and see hundreds and hundreds of thousands of New Jerseyans losing their health care and millions more seeing their health care costs go up, as I have families who say I can't afford gas for my car and childcare for my children, I know that so much is riding on Democrats taking control of the Senate.
Oh, okay. We got it there. So what I find, Jonathan Carl, I understand later on in the clip kind of pulls him back and makes him redirect to the question. But and that's why I could never be do interviews like this. I'd say, yo, stop with the inflation talk. I just asked you a specific question, Senator Booker. Answer the question. But letting him go on a tirade of why they need to win and all the inflation, it just shows you how broke ABC News is and Jonathan Carl. But if you really want to get a straight answer on Graham Plattner, he's the Democrat from Maine that will be running against Susan Collins. I'm going to welcome to the show Republican state representative from Maine, Katrina Smith. Katrina, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Did you listen? Did you see? I don't know if you heard the audio. Did you hear that dodge by Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey? Were you able to hear that, or maybe the audio wasn't there?
Yeah, I did that. I did, and it sounds very familiar to what we're hearing up in the airwaves up here in Maine as well. It's dodge and weave and avoid what's really happening.
And that's why I wanted to bring you on. And Maine seems to be in the news a lot, and we're going to get into that. But I have like kind of a 50,000-foot question for you. I look at Maine as that, a rugged state, rural, rocky beaches. But Democrats seem to be, since the 90s, have slowly started dominating the whole state. And to me, Maine is not a purple state. It's really a blue state, not a red state. What is the electorate up there like? How are they taking this control? They seem to be getting more and more of the state of Maine, and why is that?
They are. It's something we're hoping to reverse. It has been supermajority Democrat for the past 8 years, where we've seen a bloated budget of increase by $7 billion. We've seen every transgender and abortion policy put into place. We've seen horrible, crazy things happen, and this is just another one of those. It really does swing more purple. We actually only lost the House of Representatives by 64 seats over 3 districts in our last election. So not sure if we can take the governorship or not. We hope to, but we definitely hope that we can take the House, and that will make some change happen. But it's a tough state, and we are unfortunately in the news for everything, for fraud, for Plattner. Everything bad has been coming to roost here in Maine.
Well, you know what? Let's get to Plattner, because he is the big news out of Maine. But I want to cover some of those other subjects too. And believe me, I'm in Philadelphia. Right across the river is New Jersey, and New Jersey is a lost cause. And I don't see it coming back I don't know when it will come back. I have a theory on it, but New Jersey's in bad shape. We cannot lose Pennsylvania. I actually think the Republicans nationally should figure out how to get people, if they want to leave New Jersey, I don't know, give them a bonus to get over to Pennsylvania so we can lock that down as a red state. But that's my fantasy. But let's get to Graham Plattner. So I just going to list some of the stuff we've come up with. We have the Nazi tattoo. He was a spoiled rich kid that was thrown out of a prep school that cost $73,000 a year. He's a fully disabled combat Marine veteran. but he's an oyster fisherman, which is very tough work. He's got Reddit postings now about sexual assault victims wishing death on a fellow soldier, veteran, and now he's got a sexting scandal. All of this, as a Mainer, I have a feeling about this guy, and I'll share it with you in a minute, but what is up with this guy? I think he has a screw loose.
He absolutely has a screw loose. I think it's only, he's ready to explode at any point, I would say. He's very close to not being able to keep it together. This is fraying his nerves. He's getting edgier and edgier. He's making more excuses. He rose because people pretended like he was just one of us, just a working guy. I mean, it's oyster farmer. You actually go out there and put your little oyster things in a row, baskets or whatever. He's not going out like a lobsterman out in the horrible days of weather and really working hard. He chose his profession. I think I mentioned to you that I actually coached lacrosse with his wife at one point about 12 years ago. She was a librarian, nice young lady. I was shocked to see that she was married to him. And everything that happens to him is not his fault. Everything that happens to him is, people trying to keep him down. No, we have to take responsibility for what we've done in our life, and he's not doing any of that. The people of Maine, we have the loud people just like everywhere, the socialists who just love him. The people who vote for Susan Collins, who will be his opponent if he stays in there, they're Democrats as well. People, Republicans sometimes have a hard time with Susan Collins, but there's no way that she's losing Republican votes, and I don't think there's any way she'd lose Democrat votes for people to vote for this guy. There's middle-of-the-road Democrats that are quieter than the crazies that are following Graham Plattner, and they do not like what is happening. They are embarrassed. They are horrified. That those private issues that he has will affect his ability to serve the people of Maine. And we don't want any of it. If he stays in the race, I'll be surprised. And I'm sure there's more to be said about what Graham has been doing on his phone.
It's so, and I want to say something about Susan Collins, and then I'm going to get back to Plattner. Susan Collins takes a lot of heat, probably, and me included, from a lot of Republicans that are outside the state of Maine, meaning like she's our weak link. But the truth is, and I want you to comment on that. The truth is, she's the best we're going to get out of Maine, and we should really be doing a better job of supporting her. And believe me, that's a lot for me to say because I've commented her throughout, forever. But in Maine, she really needs our support until someone else shows up. What's your feelings about that?
Absolutely. Susan Collins is the person that can be elected to Congress in Maine. Does that mean she's not a perfect Republican all the time? Sure. But it means that we have someone who's there, who is conservative, fiscally especially conservative, and she brings so much money to a state of only 1.3 million people. We are not high up in the ranks of importance in the 50 states, and she really elevates that. She brings money to our fire departments, to our hospitals, business, to Bath Iron Works with military vessels. She has done a lot for the state, and we do really appreciate that. She's never missed a vote, 10,000 votes. She's never missed a vote. And it would be a Democrat if it wasn't Susan Collins at this point.
Yeah.
So we're thankful for her, and we know she has to get back in there. And it's another Republican vote for the most part in Congress, right? Not perfectly Republican across the board, but for the most part, and that's good enough for now. That's what we can give. And, I think she won't have a problem with him. It's just such a spectacular sight now with everything that he keeps backtracking on and, doing the exact same thing Cory Booker talks about how horrible the state is. Well, it's horrible here because the Democrats have controlled it for 8 years.
Yeah.
And he's not going to solve the state by going to Congress. That's for sure.
And the thing about Plattner is like with Susan Collins, which some in the sense she's the best that Maine's going to give us on the Republican side. But for them to go out on a limb with this guy Plattner, I started reading about him early, and I'm like, first of all, he's not this blue collar guy. He comes from, and I'm saying comes from the richest family in Maine, but his dad was a lawyer. He was going to the expensive prep school. He was like, I was just reading through this phoniness, and this is the problem. The Senate is a club of rich, polished insiders. A real, now what could win there from Maine is a real street smart, blue collar entrepreneur who could wipe the floor with many of these kind of elitists in the Senate, which is the greatest country club in the world. But Plattner is not that guy. The Democrats, I call it willful ignorance. They know he wasn't that. You could just smell this guy from a mile away. Forget he was a Marine and all that. I get that. But you just know there's issues there. Why would they do it?
They play to their base. They play to those strong voices. If you look at the governor candidates right now, they are equally as insane. I don't know why. I mean, Janet Mills, as our governor, when she used to run, not now, but she used to be much more of a moderate, and we've just gone away from that. They just believe this malarkey that those loud voices of people screaming at ICE are really representative of the people of Maine. There are a lot of them, but it's not all of them. And I don't know why they chose him. They thought he looked like a good poster boy, but they should have scratched the surface. I mean, they knew about the texts, Amy. Well, her operative knew about the text, and they decided to go for it anyway. I don't know. I almost feel like they're just setting him up now, and they're going to scoot somebody else in there, just put him down in a ball of fire at this point, and put another progressive in there who doesn't have as much baggage.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to have you come on for the next segment, Katrina. I still have some more questions about Maine. So we're going to go to break, and we're going to be right back with Katrina to learn more about what's going on in Maine with Katrina Smith. We'll be back.
Living here is about more than just the headlines. It's the new restaurant opening in Fishtown. It's the playoff energy at the bank. It's the festivals that make your neighborhood feel like home.
KYW News Radio brings you the pulse of the Delaware Valley. From service journalism that solves problems to stories that celebrate our culture, we cover the life you're actually living.
Authentic, local, factual. KYW News Radio, Philadelphia's most trusted news source.
I'm Paul Cozy from Cozy Jewelers, and we're not your typical jewelry store. We're a family-owned jeweler and manufacturer, crafting nearly every piece right here in-house. When you shop with us, you're getting a curated, custom design experience, not just a selection of cases on a shelf. That means every piece is personal, crafted with care, and made to last. If you want something different, truly unique, and made just for you, this is fine jewelry the way it's meant to be. Come see us in Newtown Square and step up to the 5th C. Color, cut, clarity, carat, and cozy.
When it comes to your home, you shouldn't have to roll the dice with a small contractor or pay the high prices of a giant one. At Lemus Remodeling Group, a family-owned company, you get the perfect balance. Expert exterior remodeling from a team that's nationally recognized and neighborhood trusted. From roofing and siding to windows, doors, and gutters, the Lemus team delivers quality work, honest pricing, and a home that feels brand new. Call 610-GO-LEMUS to schedule your free consultation today or visit their website at golemus.com. Lemus Remodeling Group. Trust Lemus for a lifetime.
TurnersvilleJeep.com wants to save you money at the pump this month. Today through Monday only. TurnersvilleJeep.com is having a huge sale on their giant selection of over 300 Jeeps and Ram trucks. Don't have a down payment? No problem. We work with dozens of banks who offer 0 down payments and no payments for 90 days to qualified buyers. TurnersvilleJeep.com. Just minutes from all bridges or online 24/7 at TurnersvilleJeep.com.
Now you can listen to Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to Philadelphia 1210 WPHT. This is Tom Azelby, your host with Katrina Smith, state rep from Maine, and I've become fascinated with Maine. for more reasons than just politics. And hopefully Katrina can give me advice on a cool place to get a cabin up in Maine. But anyway, that'll be at the end if we have time, because it's a beautiful, rugged state up there. But Katrina, I don't want to say it was a prediction, but your insight is this Plattner guy, who I truly believe has a screw loose, that they might replace him because this snowball is getting out of control. And I can only imagine if he was in the U.S. Senate, so how that snowball could blow up on Democrats nationally if he just started being himself, which could be scary. So what's your prediction?
Well, the thing is that Governor Mills, who was running for Congress in a primary with him, said she withdrew from the race, but she didn't technically withdraw from the race. Her name will still be on the ballot. So, what happens before the primary next week on Tuesday? I don't know. I mean, could he still get enough votes to beat her even if he dropped out by then? Possibly. But at the same time, we have 5 candidates on the Democrat side vying for governor right now. And a lot of them are very well known. The Secretary of State, who's absolutely insane as well. I don't think she'll win the governor primary, so she'll be available. And they can replace him, through whatever method. I'm not exactly sure, but they can replace him if he drops out. So that definitely could happen. And there's people that have lots of money and lots of contacts that could step right in there and run.
Okay. And do you think do you think it's going to happen, or do you think he could ride this into the election against Susan Collins? If you were betting, would you what are your odds on it? I don't think he'll drop out because he's in his little bubble. And if you look at comments, it's frankly disgusting. You look at comments from Mainers saying, well, that's his personal life, and yay for a strong marriage that they work through problems. Right.
It's not a problem. Yeah. It's a serious issue when you just marry your wife and you're sexting like 6 other people. So unless we find child, images or something on his phone, he'll probably stay in, and it will be news for the nation for the next 4 months.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another thing that keeps coming up on Maine. And I also know this about Maine because I have been looking at the chat boards on social media. Anyone who opposes Graham Plattner or the Democrats, it's immediately, and no, everyone's so sick of it, no one even cares, but the white supremacist thing, that's like the whole, the rebuttal from the Democrats. It seems like every Democrat in Maine, if you don't agree with this guy or support him, then you're a white supremacist. But that's going on around the country. I'm not surprised that it's going on in Maine. But another big topic up there is illegal immigration. How did illegal immigration, why did it hit Maine so hard? And what is the story behind it? I don't know.
Well, in Maine, we have 640 miles of international border. So I've been on the southern border and I've been on the Maine border, and they're creeping through the Maine border. It's unguarded. It's the coastline, right? That's an international border, and then all of Canada. So they can come in pretty easily. And also we brought them in. We brought the population into an area called Lewiston, which is outside of Portland. And they have come, and everybody's come. And then we had LD 1971 this past session, which made the state virtually a sanctuary state. And so our local law enforcement is not encouraged to work with Border Patrol or ICE, and they know that they're safe here. They know that they'll get every benefit. They take the bus and they come to Maine because they know they'll receive any benefit they want. In our healthcare system here in Maine, our state-funded healthcare, remember we only have 1.3 million people in this state. We have over 450,000 people on state-funded healthcare. I mean, we're a mess, and illegal immigration doesn't help it because it's taxing our resources and putting it all on our shoulders. And I have a son in law enforcement, and that changing a sanctuary status will be the first thing that we do if we take over in power, because it's making it dangerous in our state and it's draining our resources.
And you brought up something with and I want to get to the fraud in a minute too, because it seems like there are certain like there's illegal immigration all over the country, but in certain areas they seem to they know how to take advantage of the system to milk tons of money. So before I get to that, we're going to come back to that, but Trump had complained about Canada not securing their border, and you would know better than anyone. Everyone's like, oh, Canada's doing the best they can. They do a great job. Trump's just mad because Canada's not doing the trade deal he wants. What's the truth about illegals coming through the Canadian border into Maine?
I mean, if they go through a border spot, they might get stopped. But the truth is that we have a large trucking industry that comes from Canada that brings imports and exports goods. And they're, who knows how they got their license when they're coming in. So that's a problem when they're driving on our roads. But the border is very porous. It's just the United States has put more patrol up there. But Canada hasn't, and Canada's happy to have them go through and come into Maine and be off of their books. It's definitely happening. They work well with them when something happens, but I can't say that the Canadians are out there scouring the woods, making sure someone's not leaving their country to come to ours.
Yeah, it's always great to let a problem that you're going to have to deal with, especially in Canada, get them off your payroll and put them on America's. That makes sense. Totally. And listen, we do need workers. We do need a good, healthy immigration. I'm pro-immigration. I don't think of shutting down all the borders and all the Americans are going to miraculously learn how to do a good job, because there's a lot of people that culturally haven't worked for years. So I am a supporter of legal immigration, but illegal is it's complete insanity. So the fraud. The fraud seems to have come out of Maine too. What's up with the fraud? We got 2 minutes.
Absolutely, fraud is rampant. It's the same exact thing that happened in Minneapolis, the same thing that happened in Arizona. They're in our autism services. They're in our interpretation services, our Medicaid providers. They're there. They've set up shop. They're falsely billing. We've noted it on audits for years, but no one has ever cared. We already owe the federal government, $45 million for bad billing. It's only going to get worse, but it won't in the state. We thank God for the federal government, because if the federal government wasn't looking into it, our state could care less, because, a lot of them are on the books on these nonprofits. There are Democrats making money off this whole situation. But
the nonprofits are up. I was just going to say the nonprofits they're up to their necks in this. But let me ask you, in Maine, is it obviously the Somalian community in Minneapolis became experts at being con artists and ripoff artists? Not all of them, obviously, but there is an element of coming from certain parts of the world where you understand the way you make a living and take care of your family is ripping off the government. Is there a certain community in Maine that seems to be there? That's where the focus should be, because that's where the fraud's coming from. Is there a certain group?
Yeah, it's the Somalians and the Rwandans in Lewiston. It's really in one even geographic location that has a crazy amount of providers. It's obvious, but no one wants to bother with it. So even the obvious gets swept under the rug.
Well, Katrina Smith, that was a great review of Maine, and I really appreciate you coming on, because Maine is something we should keep an eye on it, because it's one part of the big problem, and these are a lot of issues we have to deal with. Thank you, Katrina Smith. We're going to go to break. We'll be back.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-358-6868. That's 800-358-6868. Again, 800-358-6868.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
You matter, and so does your well-being. If you're facing tough moments, struggling with anxiety, depression, thoughts of suicide, or substance use, help is here anytime you need it. Call, text, or chat 988 for free confidential support. New Jersey's 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is here 24/7 for you or someone you love, with trained counselors who listen and care without judgment. You matter. Remember New Jersey's 988. A message from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Upgrade your home with a home equity loan from American Heritage Credit Union. With home equity, you have lots of options. You can complete home improvement projects, fund a family vacation, consolidate bills, or pay for school tuition. Celebrating 250 years of the American dream. Visit AmericanHeritageCU.org/home equity to learn more. Insured by the NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity. Not a member? Join today. NMLS 433838.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
When I grow up, I want to be a glass countertop in a new home.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's best birthday present.
When I grow up, I want to be a football stadium.
When I grow up, I want to be a warm fleece on a cold day.
When I grow up, I want to be a fancy backsplash.
I want to be a bike that races around the country.
When I grow up,
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
I want to be a rocking chair on a sunny porch.
I want to be a skyscraper.
I want to be a When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. A public service advertisement brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Kale and Company weekday mornings 6 till 10.
Dr. Anthony Fauci. 6 years later, millions of people are dead, trillions of dollars were spent, our civil liberties were shredded by mandates and lockdowns. The man at the center of it all has never faced a single consequence. He's a doctor. He only wants to do what's best for you. Doctors have egos. Doctors like to make a lot of money. And when you've been in charge of whatever you've been in charge of going back almost 4 decades, you start to walk around like your you-know-what doesn't stink, and anybody that questions you is beneath you. Remember the arrogance of this guy?
Start your day with Kale and Company. Weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Hey, shh. Listen. Do you hear that? It's your heart. Chances are you take that precious sound for granted. And if you're like a lot of Americans, 1/3 to be exact, you're not doing anything to prevent heart disease. So what if a cardiologist told you exactly how best to love your heart? Would you listen then? Go to clevelandclinic.org/loveyourheart and learn what really matters and what doesn't when it comes to that lovable heart of yours.
I believe in you. Just 4 simple words, but to a child in need, they mean the world. I believe in you means you have potential. You are special. You matter. When you become a child sponsor with Save the Children, you're saying, I believe in you. You are smart. You're capable. You will overcome obstacles that most can't imagine. Your sponsorship says to a child, I believe that you deserve a successful start to life and a solid foundation to build upon. I believe you're worthy of good nutrition, quality healthcare, and the opportunity that education unlocks. Becoming a Save the Children sponsor sends a powerful message of support. It says, I am here for you, to lift you up, to cheer you on, and to celebrate your success. Because when you believe in a child, you empower them to believe in themselves. I believe in you. Just 4 simple words that can bring hope, that can change a life. Visit sponsor.savethechildren.org today and tell a child in need, I believe in you.
WPHT, HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. From the Piazza Auto Group Studios, experience the power of one with 8 brands and 25 locations. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Free speech lives here. The WPHT Afternoon Show.
Justin, that is. Join Tom this Tuesday and Wednesday on Talk Radio. 1210 WPHT!
All right, this is Tom Azelby on 1210 WPHT. Wow, I love that opening. Wow, that got me pumped up. That was good stuff. Really good stuff. All right, we got to get back into the show here. Okay, I do want to talk about Cory Booker. I know him well. He's from up around my way back in my early days up in North Jersey, up in Bergen County. So I got a little bit of background on the guy. Nothing, listen, I don't have any scandal or anything, but I know who he is and I understand who he is and I know where he's from and where he's not from. And I'll get to that in a minute. And let's go to, you know what? He was interviewed again. There's a clip. It's where he talks about the ICE detention center in Newark. So let's play our friend Cory Booker on that one.
We have a situation going on in Newark and again around the country where we have what amounts to internment camps of people who are ripped away from their American families, American children, American grandchildren even, who've done nothing wrong.
That's all I need. Internment camp. That's the term he used. And internment camp has been used throughout history, but it's when you use it in America, usually it relates to 1941 and Japanese Americans who had committed no crime were put in internment camps, and they could stay there. They stayed there for an average of 3 years up to 1945. So between 1941 and 1945. Now at the Delaney Detention Center, the average stay is 14 days. So here we have Senator Booker creating a completely false narrative by referring it to an internment camp and also expressing they have done nothing wrong. And the other thing is Japanese Americans who were sent to internment camps were Americans. They were citizens. The people that going for their short stay at the Delaney Detention Center are staying 4 days. This is all nonsense. They belong in that Delaney Detention Center, and due process, there is due process. This is a legal process that we're using to remove illegal aliens. Due process, the new due process for them is now we take 10 million, 5 million, 10 million, whatever amount of people, and we give them all a trial. And that's what they're calling due process. This is lunacy. That's not what due process is when it comes to removing illegal aliens out of the country. So, and then trying to compare it to the Japanese Americans that were in there for 3 or 4 years. It's ludicrous. And this is another thing that Democrats are always screaming about. It's only a misdemeanor. It's not a misdemeanor like littering in the town of Cinnaminson or in Philadelphia where someone writes you a ticket. That's a misdemeanor. This is a federal misdemeanor. If you shoved an FBI agent, that's not, that would be, if you shoved a federal FBI agent or tripped them, that would be a federal misdemeanor. Okay, so it's not like dropping litter. And that's what they keep wanting to say. Or you climb over the fence into a secret U.S. military housing some type of weapon or something. They would get you for, that could be a federal misdemeanor. So acting like, being charged with a federal misdemeanor is nothing, is wrong. Cory Booker, Spartacus, he's a phony. He's been caught lying before. He's a vegan, by the way. He had this fake guy called T-Bone when he was in Newark. He lived in the housing projects. This guy's very performative and calculated. He was raised in Harrington Park, okay? That it was and we were raised up there around the same time. A very lily white town with upper middle class white people. His parents both worked for IBM. He was, and he went to an all-white high school, and he tries, everyone knows. I don't know if everyone knows. Maybe I'm just reminding them. He was a pretty good football player. I know that in high school, and I've actually met him once. I met him on a train thanks to a friend. I went down to some political convention. I was very hungover, actually, when I met him. I remember that because that's all those politicians did do down there. They went down there and they drank their faces off, and I hung out with them one weekend. So given Booker won by 16 points in 2020, and the poly markets are saying he's got a 95% chance of winning, 95% chance. Jack Ciattarelli lost by 14 points to Mikey Sherrill, and Jack had an enthusiastic electorate, and he still got what you would say shellacked. This is what I believe in New Jersey, and I've said it on my Saturday morning show at 8 to 9 every Saturday. I said, in order for Republicans to win in New Jersey at this point, it's a lost state. There would have to be a catastrophic event to unseat Cory Booker or change the political direction of the state, a catastrophic event. And I don't know what that would be, like some type of scandal. It could be, I don't know what it could be, because I just don't see the trend changing. Pennsylvania, we have to keep it. But New Jersey, now the four gentlemen that are running, they're all good guys. They're honorable. They'll probably go on to do other stuff to kind of help the state in different positions. And I wish them well. They've entered the arena. They have no real money. And quite frankly, they don't have the it. And we need something with the it to win in New Jersey. And we should be looking for something with the it. But they seem to appear, that person that has the it, that's going to turn the whole system upside down in New Jersey, a Trump figure, a tech billionaire, a tech billionaire outsider, a crazy like Spencer Pratt who's running in LA, something just totally out of left field, something like that. I said on Saturday, an MMA champ, a Dominican. A lot of Dominicans are moving to New Jersey from New York City because it's getting too expensive, but they vote Democrat. But maybe you get some Dominican MMA champ and he runs. Some crazy rich Indian, I said, an entrepreneur guy who owns all the Dunkin' Donuts. He hates taxes. He hates DEI. He's an entrepreneur. He hates all the BS. Maybe a wild entrepreneur with comedic skills who can roast the media and every New Jersey politician. But believe me, I don't know who that person is, where they're going to find them. But let me tell you, if you want to save New Jersey, you got to hope for something like that. And you don't want to hope for a catastrophic event or such a scandal that it ruins everything for the state. You don't want that to happen. But listen, there's not a lot of upside in New Jersey. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. And, the New Jersey Republican State Committee, I'm thinking about this, guys. They might want to put me on that committee because I think I'm the only one talking about how we got to go out and find a crazy person to run. And when I say crazy, I mean crazy as a fox, crazy clever, kind of like what Donald Trump did. But there's other people doing it. And New Jersey has to get out of this old traditional way and go for something big or find someone that can do it. With that, we're going to go to break. And when we come back, Frances Martel from Breitbart News Network. Hopefully, she's waiting on the line. We'll be back.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Hi, this is Dom Giordano. You know, when it comes to complex dental care, experience matters. At Bentz Dental Group, board-certified prosthodontists, Dr. Robert Bentz and Dr. Emily Bentz, bring advanced training and expertise to every case. They use the latest technology. Their team delivers accurate diagnosis from the very start and builds personalized treatment for you. Whether it's wear and tear or more advanced concerns, you are in expert hands. Get the smile you really want. Call 610-272-6949 or visit BentzDentalGroup.com.
Hey, this is Larry Steinis with Investor Schooling. How many times are you going to listen to my voice before you finally go to investorschooling.com? I can't believe you haven't signed up for a class yet. You're going to learn real estate investing. You're going to learn stock options trading. You're going to learn things about money that you didn't even know existed. Go to investorschooling.com right now. Oh my goodness. This Thursday, investorschooling.com, and take that free class. See you there.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
Welcome back to Philadelphia 1210 WPHT with your host, Tom Azelby. I'm going to be bringing on to Frances Martel. She's the Breitbart News Network national security editor. She's a Jersey girl. She's from Union City, Cuban-American, Harvard graduate. I asked my producer, I was joking with him, if they knew each other. But welcome to the show, Frances. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
No, it's great to have you. Actually, I was joking with Matt because he's our producer here. He's a Harvard grad, but we're not going to go down memory lane. He was just talking about the stacks in Harvard and everything like that. But we're going to get right into the show because I know how busy you are, because you are putting out an article every 2 minutes when I go on to Breitbart News. You cover the whole world, which is really cool. And so I'm going to start with my first question. This Ebola thing. And I know there's a tie-in. I saw an article that you were writing about the Congo soccer team coming in for the World Cup. 50,000 feet, Ebola, Congo soccer team. should we be concerned?
Well, I think we need to have early precautions because with these disease things, you cannot be a moment too late. And we learned that with the pandemic, right? Travel bans, travel restrictions need to be put in place immediately, and the Trump administration absolutely did that. So you have to wait the 21-day incubation period in a third-party country and be monitored before you can come in if you're coming from Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, which is where cases have been documented in this outbreak. So we do have some restrictions, and we should, as long as we monitor it correctly and as long as we have the proper travel restrictions, I think that we don't have to worry about it too much because Ebola is not contagious the way that COVID was contagious, right? Like you can't cough on someone and give them Ebola. You have to touch their blood, basically. But the biggest issue is just the place where the outbreak is happening, right on the Uganda-DRC border. It is so volatile. There are dozens of armed militias fighting for territory, trying to enslave children in mines, and it's just chaotic. There's thousands of people displaced. So the problem is that we can't really monitor what's going on there. The World Health Organization can't monitor it. Nobody can. So that's what the big concern is just there's no real way of having a good idea of what is even happening there.
And I think people should know, from what I understand, there is an effective vaccine for certain Ebola viruses, but this one seems to be a new strain. Is that what they're saying?
Yes. So it's not new. It's just a rarer strain. So the vaccine exists for the Zaire strain, which is the one that caused the last outbreak in like 2016 around there. This is the Bundibugyo strain, which is it's just less common, so there's less scientific research. There's no treatment. There's no cure. It's a virus, so the best thing that you can do for someone is simply make sure that they don't lose too much blood, make sure they have fluids, make sure they eat until they fight off the virus naturally. And those things are not super hard to do in a developed country. If you're in the middle of an active, war zone with like 10 different militias fighting each other, the biggest environmental catastrophe because you've got Chinese companies doing all sorts of mining, that's what makes it so deadly, is that there really is, and the complete distrust of the community. There are so many people in DRC who don't think Ebola is real. They think that it's a lie by international white countries to kill Black Africans for population control. That's a real belief that they have. So when World Health Organization and Red Cross humanitarian workers come in, they are physically attacked. They've burned down health centers. They attack the health workers because they think the workers are there to kill them. And that's one of the biggest challenges in this outbreak.
That is, that's a part of the story that I was completely unaware of. You talk about a complete breakdown of society based on, falsehoods. We'll move off of Ebola. We got the New Jersey Republican Senate primary today. You got any feelings on New Jersey politics right now? You are from New Jersey. You live in New Jersey. What do you think? I gave my opinion, which was,
Let me rant a little bit about this. There is no one on the ballot for the Republican primary in my district. So my district is Hudson County. I don't even know what number it is at this point, 32, 33, whatever it is. It's Rob Menendez, who's Bob Menendez Jr. He's running in the primary. And then the Republicans have put up literally no one. I wrote myself in on the ballot because there was no one on the ballot. It's a disgrace. And it's a disgrace on the part of the Republicans that allows the Democrats to just have total control. And it's in an area, I mean, if anyone's been to this part of the state, Hudson County, it's very, very blue in terms of voting. But the people here are not, this isn't, UC Berkeley. Like, this isn't a leftist part of the world. It's families. There's a big population of Cubans and Venezuelans, people who understand that socialism is evil, people who do not want it. Very ripe for the picking for any conservative that actually cares enough to run, and they're not even bothering. And so it's really frustrating because then you have the national level media look at the election results and say, oh, well, you get what you vote for, like New Jersey's a disaster because they keep voting Democrat. There was literally no one on the ballot if you are registered Republican for my congressional seat. So that's how bad it is. And that's not really the Democrats' fault. The goal of the Democratic Party is to win elections. The goal of the Republican Party should be to win elections, but you can't win if you don't have a person running.
Right. Do you think after the Chitterelli losing and all the, there was a lot of positive energy. It seems what you're saying is the Republican Party needs to fix the party itself and get candidates in the game. That it's broken right now. But I think a lot of wind was taken out of their sails when Jack Chitterelli got whopped. And I don't know, are they depressed? You know better than me.
No, I mean, they're lazy. They've always been lazy, and I don't include Jack Chitterelli. I think he ran a phenomenal campaign, and the reason that he lost was not ideological. The reason that he lost was that Mikey Sherrill was endorsed by Brian Stack, who's the mayor of Union City. He's a state senator. He is the biggest and most powerful political machine boss, arguably in the country, and he turned out the vote. And if you look at the voters who voted, you look at Mikey Sherrill, right? She's a liberal white lady from Virginia, has nothing in common with this county, with the population that Brian Stack runs. But Stack brought her here, and she was in the street, and she was shaking hands. And, Jack Chitterelli was here too, but when you don't have the machine boss, you don't have that kind of momentum. And the only way to win is to build your own machine. And Republicans have refused to build their own machine for over 150 years here.
And I'm going to make an insult at the the machine here. It's very corporate and it's very country club. And like you said, I think you said they're lazy. And I think that lazy breed of New Jersey Republicans is sinking the Republican Party in New Jersey.
100%. And I get why they don't sometimes might not feel it's worth it, because you look at what Brian Stack has built and it's terrifying, right? It's just, you look at the voters and he doesn't sleep. I mean, the guy is a political boss because I could call him on my cell phone right now and say, I need my street paved, and he'll be there, in a day.
Right.
But, you have to find someone like that who is a Republican to build their own counter machine, and no one wants to bother to even try because it's so intimidating to see someone like that. And that's just the nature of politics in New Jersey. It's been like that forever. It's an outgrowth of sort of Tammany Hall culture, right?
Yeah.
And the National Republican Party doesn't really get that because the National Republican Party is used to, winning big elections in places like Florida and Ohio, and the political culture is just completely different. And they just need to find someone super nerdy about political history to sit and study how to make a New Jersey political machine and then build one and then actually fix problems in New Jersey, like actual local problems. And that's it.
Yeah, no, I actually think that New Jersey has a little bit of that elitist Republican thing, and that's not where the votes are anymore in New Jersey, and no one's buying that. They got to really run the corporate country club guys out of the party. I say that because I have nothing to lose because I live in Florida, but I still have a home in New Jersey, but I'm now a Florida resident. So, but that's how I feel about the Republican Party in New Jersey. We'll move to the next one, and I know you have this covered. You had a headline: Iran president looks for exit as terrorist IRGC hijacks the regime. Now that headline has a lot there, and I'm just going to let, if you could, just give the listeners a 50,000 your view of what's going on in Iran right now and where you see it going.
So the original structure of the Iranian regime before February was that you have two basically warring factions within the structure of the regime, which is the IRGC and the military versus the civilian wing. And they coexisted because the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, would mediate disputes, and he would go out of his way to play them off of each other for his benefit, right? So we took out the supreme leader. And then the new supreme leader, it's completely unclear if he exists or not. His son, Moshtaba Khamenei, no one has seen him. He has not put out a single audio or video statement, complete non-entity. So there's no leadership at the top. And so what you have now internally is a free-for-all for the power center of Iran between the IRGC and the civilians. And so we had a really interesting situation on Monday where Tasnim News, which is an Iranian outlet that is kind of known to be associated with the IRGC, with the military, they came out and said Iran has stopped negotiating and we're shutting the Strait of Hormuz. And then the Islamic Republic News Agency, which is the official state media entity, which is a civilian part of the government, put out a quote from the foreign minister and said, we are still negotiating and anything else is speculation. So to me, that's just they're openly, at war with each other for the narrative. And it's really hard for the White House to negotiate because who do you even negotiate with when you have them saying simultaneously opposite things? And I think that's why Trump came out on Monday and they asked him about it. And he literally said, I don't care. He straight up said, I don't care. And I think it's because he realizes that neither of them have won the internal power struggle. So, what America does doesn't really matter until someone actually takes the reins.
I have a theory, and I'm going to bounce it off you. And this is a very, this is North Jersey street theory by Tom. I look at Iran now with all this leadership that's fractured, where you don't even know who you're dealing with. I'm wondering if, in the end, we're going to treat Iran like a chronic disease, like diabetes, HIV, kidney disease, even some blood cancers, where you can live for many decades. And they, after they hit you with the chemo, the Red Devil, that's kind of what we hit them with the big attack with Israel. Could the future just be that we're not going to go in and march into like we did Afghanistan and Iraq, but we've killed off a big part of the disease, and going forward, we'll contain it, we'll attack it, we'll punish it, sanction it as needed over the next decades? Could that be the possible future we have with Iran?
Well, first of all, I adore that metaphor. It is so good because what you're describing is in this situation, the United States is the doctor, right? The United States is not the patient. So the United States cannot make the decisions. So that's a big, you give the patient chemo, but if the patient's going to go out and eat cheese doodles every day and get drunk, then there's only so much you can do, right? So we can't change Iran. And I think what you're talking about is kind of like what we did in Venezuela, right? We came in, we took Maduro. Yep. Maduro is a terrorist, a narco dictator. He was not the legitimate leader of that country. It was a legitimate law enforcement action to arrest that man for the crimes that he was indicted for. And then we left and we said, okay, we would like to have, a decent working relationship with you. We know we're never going to agree with you 100% on everything. Delcy Rodriguez is as hardline communist as it gets, but she knows where her bread is buttered, and she's keeping things moving more or less. And then the most important things that Delcy has done is she's limited the Tren de Aragua, the gang warfare throughout Latin America. Colombia just had an election, and there were no reports of Tren de Aragua Venezuelan interference, which was not the case in 2022. She's also cut off the oil to Iran and to Cuba and to China, notably. So I think that's what Trump wants, is something like that in Iran, where there's not a power vacuum. We don't do regime change, but we take out the most dangerous elements of that regime, and what we leave instead is something barely functional that hopefully the Iranian people can step up and fix in the long term. But it's not our job to fix that. It was our job to take out what is hurting us. And then after that, it really is, not really our problem what happens after, but we can't leave a power vacuum either.
I got it. And I'm going to let you go in 15 seconds, but I'm going to wrap it up with this. You're a Cuban American, 67 years of communism in Cuba. Right now, are you more optimistic than you've ever been, or it's still who knows?
It's both, but I'll tell you, I'm a big believer in if you want something done right, do it yourself. And we finally have a Cuban Secretary of State, so that gives me more optimism than anything else.
Francis Martel from the Breitbart News Network, thank you so much for coming on today, and we will definitely have you back. We're going to go to break.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Audient Hearing.
Amazon is strengthening its grip over the U.S. supply chain as it offers new freight shipping services to third-party merchants. The e-commerce giant announced it's launching Amazon Supply Chain Services, which provides freight, distribution, fulfillment, and parcel shipping services, including AI demand forecasting and inventory placement models for speed and reliability. Rival shipping and logistics stocks fell on Amazon's announcement. I'm Jason Brooks.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Running a small business is a daily balancing act. One late shipment, one price hike, one employee issue, and your whole month, maybe the entire year, could be in trouble. That's where LendSeek comes in.
I needed $100,000 fast to keep up with inventory demands. LendSeek had me funded the same day I applied. Between their AI platform finding the fastest deal and a dedicated funding specialist guiding the process, it couldn't have been easier.
Our AI-driven platform matches your business with the right program from over 100 funders, up to $2 million in as fast as 24 hours. Don't wait until it's too late. If you've been in business at least 2 years with more than $500,000 in annual revenue, qualifying is simple. No collateral, no out-of-pocket costs, no hassle. From lines of credit, term loans to revenue-based financing, LendSeek is open for business. Apply in minutes at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
In Philadelphia, Chase is proud to root for the home team because they're our team too. We cheer from the bleachers and on the sidelines. We cheer for gymnasts and quarterbacks. And with more than 80 local Chase branches and 5,000 nationwide, we are right beside you, Philadelphia. Neighborhood bankers, digital tools, national strength. Chase, make more of what's yours.
JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
This is Jordan Lundy of Lundy Law. When we say we hope you're never the victim of a rideshare accident, we mean it. But if you should suffer a rideshare injury, we'll work quickly to get you the maximum compensation you deserve. And we mean it when we say there are never any upfront fees, ever. And we only get paid when your case is over and you get paid. Remember our name, Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Call 1-800-LUNDY-LAW or visit lundylaw.com.
Epic parties start at Staples. Now you can grab Party City balloons, decorations, and tableware, plus matching custom invites, banners, and more right at Staples. That was easy.
Now back to the Piazza Auto Group Studios. Experience the power of one with 8 brands and 25 locations. This is Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Welcome back to Philadelphia 1210 WPHT. This is Tom Azelby here on the afternoon show. Going to bring up, I was just, talking to our producers that Frances Martel, you can go anywhere around the world and grill her with a question about anything. And if it's international, she's got it. She's pumping out different articles every day for Breitbart. But I want to talk about my next guest, who I'm a big fan of. She's from the Free Press. She's their Gen Z tech and education reporter, but she does all these different types of articles, which we're going to talk about today. Her new article out on the Free Press is the making of a teenage terror subject. Islamic extremists target a young autistic boy in Ohio. They groom him. He's African American. He comes from a Christian family, and they hook him in on one of the internet platforms. And Maya Solkin, welcome to the show. I'm really interested in this story that you wrote.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, Maya, before we get into the article, it was a good read. It was actually a wild ride, like just reading how all this went down. And the audience should know, you actually go out to see the family in Ohio, and we're going to get to that. But before we do, I think your career is very interesting. You write for the Free Press. But Bari Weiss, who's very well known in political circles, she starts the Free Press. Now she's running CBS News. But you worked for her directly. You were her chief of staff. What an interesting career path you had. And I believe you're only, you're the Gen Z writer, so you're somewhere in your 20s. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm 24. I sent a cold email to her really from my college dorm room at Columbia. And at that point, it was just a little blog she would start running called Common Sense.
Right.
And that became the Free Press. And yes, indeed, a lot has happened since then.
Yeah, no, you guys are in the big leagues now. I mean, you got all, I mean, the Free Press, everyone was like, wow, like I always think it was like a specialty boutique news outlet that people were really enjoying. Then all of a sudden you're bought by CBS News. She's the boss over there. And it's probably brought you into a different stratosphere, as I would say, from a career and just from across the board. It must have been a lot of big changes, some good and some bad, I'm sure, too. So how has that change been for you?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, our mission is the same, which is to do great journalism, which we're really proud of. And so, we're in a different office, but the fundamentals of what we do are unchanged.
That's good. That's good stuff. And you can see it in this article that you just wrote. So I'm going to ask you the title, and I hope my notes didn't screw up the title, is The Making of a Teenage Terror Subject. Was that the
Suspect,
correct title?
Yeah.
Suspect, not subject, suspect. I'm sorry. I knew I was screwing something up there.
No, that's okay.
Frame out for the listeners on what happened to this, and I'll call him a boy because I think he was around 16 years old. What happened to this family and what happened to the boy at a high level, and then we'll drive a little bit deeper.
Yeah, so this was a boy. He was 13 or 14 at the time, and he comes from a devout Christian family. He was having a hard time in school. He was only 10 and 11 during the pandemic. He really had felt like everything was kind of taken away from him overnight. And he is on the spectrum and kind of does on his own just really deep research projects. So sometimes it would be about animals, other times about sports. But then he started getting interested in Islam, and he goes on YouTube and is looking up videos. And in the comments section, he's kind of lured into what we later find out is extremist Discord servers. And Discord is an app popular mostly with gamers, but now it has become this kind of messaging platform. And his parents, unbeknownst to them, he was kind of living this double life. And it wasn't until the FBI knocked on their door that they had learned their son had really been targeted by violent extremists. And he had deliberate plans to carry out several violent attacks.
And were the extremists they weren't domestic, they were international?
Yeah, again, it's hard to know where exactly these people are, but in my reporting, the experts that I spoke to, former FBI officers, de-radicalization experts, said their tactics are exactly what they've seen before with members of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. So we can it's safe to say that they're surely not domestic and more likely than not members of ISIS or Al-Qaeda.
I have a quick question for you. How did you find this story? It seems like a very kind of niche story that you would have to dig out. How did you find it?
Yeah, so when I started reporting this, it was because I kept seeing these lawsuits being filed against Discord. And at the same time, there's this extreme uptick of political violence. And I got connected to an organization called Parents for Peace. It's funded by the DHS. Mm-hmm. And it was started by a man whose son was radicalized online, and he actually did carry out an act of terror, and now he is serving a life sentence in prison. And what they do is basically go into these families' homes and de-radicalize their kids. There is one de-radicalizer who is a former neo-Nazi. There is one who is a former jihadist recruiter who worked with the boy that I wrote about. But it's a pretty incredible organization because, as I note in the article, hospitals, mental health treatment centers, they're not equipped to de-radicalize someone. It's a really strenuous and niche thing to do.
And I guess it's new too, because the way the internet has morphed, there's even the way they radicalize. They're probably using all different techniques as social media matures. This is new for society. This isn't something where you're going to have like some therapy already. They've dealt with it for 15. They have the best practices. This is all relatively new, right? As far as kids getting radicalized like this over the internet. I'm not saying it wasn't going on 5 years or 10 years ago, but I would just think that it's even more sophisticated today. Am I correct? Or is it been going on?
It's definitely more sophisticated. I think that young people have always been radicalized in some way or another, but
right.
I think it's kind of a perfect storm, which is that you have this generation of young people who are isolated in the pandemic, spending a lot of time online, and are really searching for what I can only describe as a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging. And they're finding it in all the wrong places, which is a distinct feature of the internet. And the people that are recruiting and radicalizing these young people, they are trained to do this. This is what they spend every day doing. They are not fools. So they know the tactics. They know the reinforcement strategies to get these kids to commit acts of violence. And the de-radicalizer I spoke to, who used to be a recruiter, had said to me, these kids are pawns. When we used to read about news stories where a kid would get sent to jail for committing an act of terror, they'd be giving each other high fives.
Meaning the recruiters are back in some room high-fiving each other like we did it. Like, where's our bonus?
Exactly, because they basically convince these kids that all of their problems stem from the idea that the West is bad and it is working against them, and that they are on a mission really to revolt against it.
Wow, it's some scary stuff. One of the things I found in your article is that you actually went to meet with the family in the house where the boy was. Could you tell it? You talk about investigative reporting. That's going out there instead of just writing a headline with fluff. So I would think, is that the first time you've ever gone that deep into a story?
I'm lucky to say no. I mean, we are lucky that we get to go out into the field a lot. I think meeting people in person and going to where the story is a really important feature of a good story. I don't think I would have earned the same trust or gotten the same story had I just, had a Zoom call with them. And also I learned so much about them and the way they grew up. I mean, this was a lovely family. They live in a neighborhood with cul-de-sacs and nice manicured lawns. They have family game nights. They go to church, get to charities. He was baptized in their backyard. And so this isn't the kind of family you'd expect this to happen to. This is not a kid who was living in his parents' basement that they were really concerned about. And that's what makes this all the more startling.
So I would think so, and I think the wild card in this story is, like, I have young kids. They're not that young, but for my age, I have young kids, 16 to 22. Now, my 16-year-old, we're Catholic. She's not converting to any new religion, right? So I think just because I'd be like, when you're off my payroll, you and your brother, you're 22, you're out of college. Once I'm not paying for your car, your college, and everything else, you want to convert to something that would be what you would do. But I think the autism, I think, because it's easy if it was a kid that didn't have autism, you would have been like, well, why did you allow them to convert, right? Because I think this family did. But the autism seems to throw in another angle on this, which makes it far more complicated. Could you explain that?
Yes, I will say in terms of his parents, this is a kid who was really struggling, who kind of at first found this, found something that gave him structure and meaning. And so when you're concerned about your kid, you're not going to take away from them the thing that they say is giving them structure and meaning. On the autism front, it's actually less unique. I think back to the San Diego mosque shooting where an 18-year-old killed 3 people. His parents later came out and said he's on the autism spectrum. He was radicalized on the internet. You go back to 2024 in the UK when a teenager killed those young girls in a Taylor Swift dance class. His fascination with violence was kind of dismissed because of his autism. And then in weeks after, you have 2 copycat crime attempts, and one of these kids 17, had an Al Qaeda training manual on his phone, and he was also on the autism spectrum. And so, there's kind of this distinct feature, which is that most of the time it is young men who spend a lot of time on the internet.
Hey, Maya.
When you add,
Maya, I want you to hold for 1 second because you started breaking up, and I'm fascinated with this story.
Oh no!
There you are. You're back again. That's good. So
okay, great.
We didn't lose you completely. It was just starting to break up on you.
I was just listing some examples in just the past couple of years of, violent acts, San Diego mosque shooting, the Taylor Swift dance class murder of these 3 young girls, and the copycat crimes afterwards, where in the aftermath it was found out that these were young men on the autism spectrum, 2 of whom had Al Qaeda training manuals saved on their phone, all of which is to say, the most scary thing about the story is that the conditions that led to this specific kid's radicalization are actually not that unique.
Yeah, no, I could see that. And I'm thinking of a story I just read yesterday. There was a high functioning autistic in his 20s who was biting ICE officers at Newark wearing a keffiyeh, or I always pronounced it wrong, but and that's why your story, I'm just even relating that, who has he been talking to that would make him go down there wearing the headdress and start biting ICE officers? It seems to be a whole new problem.
Yeah, well, one thing that the parents learned in the process of all of this is that these recruiters go after kids on the spectrum because they are drawn to binary thinking. They are seeking authority. And so it is really, really cruel what's happening because there are people trained to find our most vulnerable and malleable minds and really train them to be radicals.
Yeah. And the increase in autism and why it's so important, they really so I support, RFK and his desire to kind of really look for what the answer of the cause is, because it seems like this thing is spiraling into this autism problem is spiraling into other cultural problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a whole other, investigation. Maybe it will be the next one, but I just read one stat. I'm going to butcher it, but it's something close to, a couple of years ago, there were about 150,000 people registered as autism specialists, and now that number is about 700,000. There is something going on. And maybe that will be my next story.
The one thing, I don't want to go into the science of it. I don't know enough about it. One thing they came up with, that one factor might have been older fathers, and that is something that's going on in society. Today there are a lot of older dads. There was one study. I don't know if that's correct. So let's get back to your story, though. I kind of took us off the path there. So where is the give us kind of the criminal aspects of the case with this young man or young boy out in Ohio. The FBI came, and then what were the steps taken? Now they're looking at what they're dealing with. What were the steps for the family and for the criminal investigators?
Yes. So basically, the FBI shows up, and they actually didn't know he was a minor. And FBI does not prosecute minors. So they handed over the case to the local police, who refiled the third-degree felony charges. He was officially charged with making terrorist threats. They, redo the investigation. He kind of has a 2-year back and forth of being in juvenile detention centers, of being on house arrest. He had violated his parole a couple of times. He then went to treatment court, outpatient programs. It's been a really serious battle for this family to kind of get their son on track. And just a few weeks ago, his criminal record was expunged, which was a really, big victory for his family. But, this was not a linear path for this kid or for his family. This was a ton of back and forth with the criminal justice system, with the juvenile detention centers. And so that's kind of where that stands.
Well, and I can only imagine the struggle for the family, but we'll even just from a societal standpoint, is it good that his record is expunged? What's your feelings on that? Because you were close to it, so you would have a better opinion than someone just reading the article. Is there do you think there's a major downside for that record to be expunged, knowing that he kind of got sucked into this?
I would say that I do really believe he was a victim, which does not take away from the severity of the things that he wrote online.
Right.
You know, his parents would say he is still not ready to be given all of the internet access, all of the other kinds of things that other 16-year-old boys are. And so, honestly, if he had different parents, I would be more concerned. But the people that I met in Ohio are lovely people who have their heads screwed on straight, who want the best for their kid, who really do understand the depth and the seriousness of the threats he made. But if I had met different parents, I think I would have a different answer.
Right. No, that's you. And based on the reporting, how close and how deep you got into it, you can make that type of assessment. What part of the story, not just on this case, but what part of the story makes you the most uncomfortable, that you say, like, this is society and the United States, law enforcement, our culture, our schools? If you were going to say, listen, we got to start A, B, and C, what would be your recommendation after writing this story?
Yeah, the thing that makes me the most uneasy is just how many young boys there are, like the one I wrote about. I think, let's just limit it to this country. I think you have a whole generation of young boys isolated in the pandemic, aggrieved, having a hard time, looking for meaning. So what scares me is just the potential there is for more situations like this. Now, one thing in terms of what to do about it, one thing the parent said to me is like, we went through the checklist every parent does for a kid that's inevitably going to be online. You think about cyberbullying, sexual predators. This is just nothing we ever prepared for. And so the first thing parents need to understand, and I know that it sounds alarmist, but I promise it's not, is that there are people on the internet that are very keen on warping your child's mind. And it is a real risk that you need to protect against. You need to do routine sweeps of their devices. You need to, make sure they're not on certain platforms where this stuff is really bubbling up. So that's really the most important thing, is just like add it to the checklist of the things that you're worried about. I hate to say, because I know the list is getting longer by the day.
Yeah. I have a question with the, they are a Christian family, and he converted to Islam. Is he still practicing in that? Was that something they would have to say, no way, we're going in a different direction now? Like, how is that handled, and what is it today?
Yeah, so he is still practicing. They've found a mosque for him where the imam is aware of his situation. He kind of has a community where, they're also aware and they're keen on keeping him on track. When I spoke to the parents, they said, we believe he's a free moral agent and he'll come to his faith on his own. But they said, of course, we're Christian. We pray every day that he'll be Christian again. So that is kind of where that's at.
Yeah. If your kid wasn't autistic, for me, it would be like, the Islam is out the door. It's not happening here. But I don't have an autistic child, and I know how they hyper focus, that you might make it worse by. Is it the possibility, I would think, that if I take myself out of my own children and my own family life, and I put myself with a child which I have no real understanding of, who's autistic, maybe you do have to be a little bit more flexible. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's right. Like I said, this is a kid who was really struggling, who was, not coming out of his room, and he found something that gave him a sense of purpose, of community, of meaning. And I think his parents feel like they're towing a fine line, and they don't want to take those things away from him. I think they're scared in many ways.
Let me ask you about the mosque. Did you interview people at the mosque? I thought that was in part of the article, but share what you know about the mosque.
I did trail behind them, but no, I was not able to interview anyone there.
Yeah, because you would hope that this mosque, and I would guess, because it sounds like the parents, you've said these parents got their heads on straight. The mosque could actually be helpful in keeping him away from the extremes and teaching him through the faith. I mean, that would be something as a parent that they might be leaning on. Is that possible?
I think it's given him a sense of community. When I went to the mosque, the de-radicalizer accompanied him. He's also a Muslim, but practices a different sect of Islam. And he had said, there are times I get nervous when I'm not there, but, they know of his situation and they want to keep him on track. And so that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah. Hey, Maya, thank you very much for coming on. Very interesting article. Where can people find some of your work?
Yeah, you can read it by just going to the FP.com. It's on the Free Press. There's also a video interview on our YouTube, but all of it will be at the FP.com.
And before I let you go, are you working on, I know this story just dropped, I think it dropped yesterday. Are you onto something already going forward, or you're kind of just letting a new idea brew up for you?
Yeah, got some news stories on the line, which I'd be excited to talk about with you guys. Some interesting stuff happening in education and higher ed. So, yeah.
It sounds good. Maya Solkin from the Free Press, thank you so much for joining us on Philadelphia 1210 WPHT. We're going to go to break. We'll be back for the last hour.
Running a small business is a daily balancing act. One late shipment, one price hike, one employee issue, and your whole month, maybe the entire year, could be in trouble. That's where LendSeek comes in.
I needed $100,000 fast to keep up with inventory demands. LendSeek had me funded the same day I applied. Between their AI platform finding the fastest deal and a dedicated funding specialist guiding the process, it couldn't have been easier.
Our AI-driven platform matches your business with the right program from over 100 funders, up to $2 million in as fast as 24 hours. Don't wait until it's too late. If you've been in business at least 2 years with more than $500,000 in annual revenue, qualifying is simple. No collateral, no out-of-pocket costs, no hassle. From lines of credit, term loans to revenue-based financing, LendSeek is open for business. Apply in minutes at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
The working families of Laona Labor's District Council of Pennsylvania, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia are proud contributors to all aspects of growth in this great city. The Labor's District Council provides safe, well-trained, productive workers who enable projects to be done on time and under budget. We appreciate our signatory contractors and their commitment to fairness and equality. Laborers, we're building a better future today.
Brought to you by the Laborers District Council Licit Fund.
A message from Bradford White Water Heaters. How you heat your water matters, and you do have a choice. So choose efficiency, choose reliability, choose innovation. Choose a water heater that's manufactured in America using the finest components from around the world. Choose Bradford White. Still is and always will be built to be the best. So make the right choice. Ask your plumbing professional to install a Bradford White water heater in your home or business. Visit BradfordWhite.com to learn more.
And now, Babbel proudly presents The Cat Chat.
Bonjour, monsieur. Yes, hi. I'm staying in room 22, and I was wondering if there was anyone I could chat with about my sheets. They seem to be making me just really itchy. Pardon, vous avez dit chat? Yeah, it's not a big deal. I just want to chat with maybe like, the cleaning service, see which detergent they use. Just a chat. Chat. Please, I'm so itchy. Un instant, s'il vous plaît. Mathis, j'ai un client qui demande un chat. Oh. My goodness, I thank you. It's just a chat, really just a...
Voilà.
What?
Sir, you requested a cat to scratch you.
Traveling mistakes can really be absurd. Learn to speak like the locals with Babbel, and no one will mistake your chat for a cat.
Sir, please. Your cat.
Get up to 50% off on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com to get up to 50% off. BABBEL.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767.
Life doesn't slow down, and planning your financial future can feel overwhelming. That's where Monastra Financial Group comes in. Whether you're preparing for retirement, managing a 401k, or protecting what matters most, their team offers personalized guidance built around you. With a straightforward approach, they help turn complex decisions into clear, confident steps forward. Take control of your financial future today. Text Mike Monastra at 484-471-4879. That's 484-471-4879.
If clutter is costing you time, fix it right away. Closet Factory designs and installs custom storage for closets, pantries, and home offices. Schedule a free design consultation at closetfactory.com. Closetfactory.com.
If you're talking, they will hear you every single time.
Oh, we're getting killed.
Yeah, well, Kyle's not here.
How come?
Kicked off the team. Didn't Tim tell you? Kyle and some other kids got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. Zero tolerance. He's out for the season.
Come on, it's a first offense, right?
That we know of. But why should that matter? He knew not to drink. I've made it clear to Matt that's what we expect from him. What have you said to Tim?
Nothing really. You know, a lot of kids try it at this age, so...
Yeah, well, a lot of kids don't try it too. I'm not saying that Matt's gonna be this perfect kid, but if I don't tell him what we expect and why he shouldn't drink, how's he gonna know?
You think kids that age really listen?
They never admit it, Bill, but they hear more than you think.
Talk. They hear you. For more information about talking with kids about underage drinking, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Kale and Company weekday mornings 6 till 10.
Just to point out how great this show is, Dawn Stensland, Greg Stocker, everybody involved. We are crushing it in the YouTube game.
Thank you for making us the #1 viewed news talk show in Odyssey.
And if you ever miss the show, you can always get the podcast on iTunes, where we have a 4.9 out of 5. Vicky Herz, Herz, says, the only podcast that truly feels like a family, especially when you watch on YouTube.
Aww.
They tell the truth, they debate.
And we fight.
And most of all, they start at 6 a.m.
Wow.
Thankfully, with the podcast, I can listen anytime.
Start your day with Kale and Company. Weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app. WPHT, HD, WOGL, HD3, Philadelphia. From the Piazza Auto Group Studios, experience the power of one with 8 brands and 25 locations. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Now, The Drive at 5. 30 minutes of nonstop talk from Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Well, the clock strikes 3 and the workday's dragging. Traffic stacking up and the headlines are lagging. Then a familiar voice comes riding through the air. Tom Azelby in the chair. The afternoon show is here again. On the best station around, you know it's 1210. He's been around this town a time or two. Knows the stories and he knows the crew. Matt and Justin, that is. Join Tom this Tuesday and Wednesday on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
All right, welcome back to 1210 WPHT. This is Tom Azelby in the last hour of the afternoon show. Coming up right after me is Rich Zioli. He's back on his podcast and he's ready to go, so make sure you stay tuned. You know, I was just thinking that story that Maya Solkin, you met, you know, it's tough. I mean, if you're a parent out there and, you know, you have a kid that's born with like on that spectrum of autism, and then you got to deal with, because the way that brain works, and then they get attracted to something and they get sucked in, man. You talk about throwing a lot of stuff at people in their life, man. That's tough stuff to swallow or deal with. I mean, you got to deal with the autism, and now he's getting indoctrinated by lunatics online. What a story. Very, very interesting, and I really hope it all works out for that family. Okay, next, we're going to just kind of go around. I guess you'd call this, I don't know, just like a big melting pot of different topics for the last hour. So, Paul Krugman, he's an economist, or he was an economist. I've never liked the guy. I will never like the guy. And he's just not one of my favorites. I'm going to play a clip of what he just said, and this is how dangerous what you would think is a traditional Democrat, this Paul Krugman. He's an economist. He's an Ivy Leaguer. He's an elite. But you would think he would know better not to say what he's going to say. And I'm not. Let's hear what he has to say, and then I will continue my throwing my haymakers at him. So let's play the Paul Krugman clip, guys.
We need to defang Trump as much as possible and make sure that neither he nor anybody who follows in his footsteps has power after the next two elections. But beyond that, we really need to do a thorough purging of the United States. We need a demogification, and that is, I'm not going over the top by using a word that's very similar to the denazification that we pursued successfully after World War II in Germany.
Could you imagine like I don't know, how would I say, an Obamification, a de-Obamification? Could you, like, people would have lost their minds. America's got to learn, and I understand how people get tripped up. Just don't bring in the Nazis. Like, dude, Mr. Krugman, you just open yourself up to start sounding like a Nazi or an authoritarian, that you are going to denazify the MAGA movement. Pretty ignorant statement. That's not how this country works. Listen, here's one thing. You guys are familiar with this Krugman guy, right? I know he's before your time.
I'm very familiar with Paul Krugman. I love economic theory, and he actually won a Nobel Prize. I know you talked about Alfred Nobel earlier in the show. He won it for international trade and economic geography, and he was recognized for showing how economies of scale and consumer demand for variety help explain why countries that are similar, like the U.S. and Germany, still trade heavily with each other rather than only trading based on obvious differences like climate, labor costs, and natural resources. And I think that is an interesting theory, and it was worthy of receiving a prize. However, his most famous quote of all time was in 1998. I have the quote in front of me. I wanted to read it for you. It says, it says by 2005 or so, it will become clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than the fax machines. He also claimed that the internet would be irrelevant largely because people will have nothing to say to each other. So we should not be relying on Paul Krugman for, I think, for any sort of glimpses of the future. I don't think.
You're spot on, because I had the internet would be like the fax machine quote, and that was it's part of my takedown on the guy. Like, hey, listen, sometimes you can have a high intellect in certain categories on certain things, but he's blown a lot of calls, and I'm sure he's made some good calls, because he wouldn't be Paul Krugman if he didn't. But man, I think sometimes when you get trapped in the bubble of whatever that bubble you're in, and his was probably the Ivy League faculty room, you can start losing it. And some of his views, like he's even saying this thing, he's showing that it's unhinged to say that he's good. Basically he's saying that Trump, we have to cut the bloodline. we have to destroy it. It sounds like a guy back in the 1930s over in Europe. Like, we have to stop these people from breeding and moving on. We have to, like, that's a pretty radical, unhinged view for a guy who won the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, I think it's like, wow, you are really pushing the language with that. But the good thing is, you don't hear. I actually think Paul Krugman is an authoritarian based on that. I actually think if you gave Krugman, if you made him king, he would be abusive. He would use his power of the state to punish anyone who disagreed with him. I mean, that's my view of him. And maybe that's a little bit over the top. I don't know him that well. But when you start talking the way he's talking, I would be like, I will never give that guy power. And you know what? It was COVID, not that Krugman had anything to do with COVID, but that's why I'm so fearful of Democrats. Once COVID came in and that we had a pandemic and there was serious issues with it and danger, whatever, but once you gave them an inch, they took it so far. And even when things got better, they liked the control. They were high on the control. They wouldn't walk back an inch. And thank God in this country, we have 50 states, and state governments and state power is so critical. That makes us so different than so many other countries. We have 50 states, and you want to hold on to that power, because we were out to dinner with people the other night. We'd fly down to Florida in the middle of COVID, and people were taking reasonable prevention. But listen, you were allowed to, kids went to school, you were allowed to do what you had to do. You got around, you socialized. In the blue states, they destroyed kids. Even Maya Solkin from the Free Press, that COVID thing, a kid on the spectrum with autism, it just made it 10 times worse. If your kid had a learning disability, learning over the computer with some teacher who really didn't care, it was vacation time for them. So despicable. But Paul Krugman, I would tell you, man, if that guy ever got the power, he would wield it like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, I'm going to move to my next subject. I hope, you know what? Matt, do you want to rehabilitate this guy after I just cut his legs off? Do you want to say anything positive about him?
I don't have much to say positive about Krugman. I do have another bad prediction that I just remembered he made. It was in 2016 after Trump won. He claimed that the stock market would basically never recover. I did just look up the S&P's value in 2016, just after the election. It was 2,139. It is now over 6,000. So that's another miss from Paul.
That's a big miss. Let me tell you, if that guy had been outside the academic world, where everything comes down, what you did and how you did it, how much money you made is with some of his calls, he would have been railroaded out of the private sector pretty quick. I'm going to go to the Freedom 250 concert at the Washington Mall. So you have all these bands that are bailing because I guess they're getting nervous because the 250-year celebration, they actually believe it's the Trump celebration. They're getting I don't know, they're getting scared. That's it. And they're chickening out because they think, oh my God, if our 250-year celebration actually people starting to think that it's a celebration of Trump. That's how twisted we got. That's how our logic has gone crazy. Because I remember 1776 to 200 year, it was huge as a boy. Like, you were excited for it, but the country's completely changed. We have other things to distract us. The country doesn't have that kind of unifying things that gets around certain things. And I might discuss that in a little bit. But anyway, here are the people that are running from the concert that was going to be held on the Washington Mall. Martina McBride. I don't think it's a big deal. She's from the 90s. I'm not saying she's not a famous, good country singer, fine, but she's from the 90s. Bret Michaels from Poison. He's bailed. Like, does anyone, like, is that really a big deal? I actually saw Poison probably 2 or 3 summers ago at Hershey Park. He looked awful, by the way. Def Leppard looked great. Joan Jett looked good. Bret Michaels looked beat up. They were good. They were fun. Who else was there? Any rock and rollers there? We had Poison, Def Leppard. Oh, we had Motley Crue. Actually, they were okay. But Vince Neil couldn't hit any of the high notes. But fun concert. That's all I'm saying. But so Bret Michaels isn't showing up. The Commodores, I'd love to see the Commodores. They're not coming now. Young MC, oh my God, he had a one-hit wonder, and he's bailed. Why would Young MC ever bail? No one he had like 1 or 2 songs. That guy should be banging on the door to sing in front of all those people. I should be his manager. I'd be like, Young, I don't care. Get associated with Trump and start writing rap. 80 million people are on the Trump side. They're going to support your music. You're a guy, this is a win-win for you to get involved with Trump. You have nothing to lose, Young MC, unless he's some principled guy, which I'm sure he's probably not. He probably doesn't even care about Trump. But the fact that, this could look bad for my career, Young MC, you are out of your mind. You get there, change your mind, and show up in D.C. Your career is dead. It's been dead for decades. That's my advice for you. You better get there. What about this guy, Morris Day from Prince, the movie Purple Rain? What a great movie back. It had to be like in the 84, 85. Morris Day, he was like Prince's backup band, but they were competitors in the movie. Morris Day, you're another guy. You have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Collect your check. Get to that event. Now, we got one guy that's hanging in there, and that is Vanilla Ice. And of all the people that I could care less about seeing is Vanilla Ice, but I got to support him because, but you know what? Vanilla Ice was building houses in Florida for many years after his career. Vanilla Ice is smart. He might hate Trump for all I know, but the bottom line, he's a good businessman because he's going to go because he's going to get to perform in front of a lot of people. Who knows? You gain an audience that way. Showing up, I used to tell entrepreneurs that just show up. That's half the battle. I think Woody Allen said it, but I don't want to give him credit for it. But Vanilla Ice is showing up. So I think he's in a clip. Let's play the Vanilla Ice clip because that's what we're down to on the Freedom 250 concert is Vanilla Ice. So let's hear what he had to say defending his choice to show up at the concert.
Tell us why you're still planning on performing, even though we've heard that from the president, when so many other performers are deciding not to.
I don't know. I can only speak for myself, and I'm proud to be an American. I was born here and raised here, and this is my country, and I don't like anybody telling me I really can't be proud of it. And this is a huge honor to play the birthday. It's it's in a lifetime, 250. So I'm honored, and I just, I respect everybody else. I know there's a lot of tension everywhere. This whole world is like a snow globe, but it shouldn't be that. And music is here to bring people together, man. And, it shouldn't be that this music is dragged into politics. It's not fair, I don't even vote. I'm not a politician. I don't have the first thing to say about how to run a country or do anything like that. I think this is a huge honor. And I'm wanting to celebrate the country I was born and raised in, man. And we didn't.
Okay. You know what I like? I didn't hear the clip before. I just wanted to hear what he had to say. So, you know what? Vanilla Ice has it sounds like he has his head on straight. And he said, you know what? I support what he said. He's spot on. Too bad more people don't take the path that he's taking. He said, respect everybody. This is where I'm going to critique him on respecting everybody. That's like when people say, don't judge anybody. I judge everything. I mean, judging things stops you from dating a wacky girl. Judging things stops you from getting involved in a bad business deal. Judging everything for picking a bad business partner. Judging everything is you don't eat rotten food. Using judgment, you can judge everything. You got to verify. You don't just make a quick judgment and then solidify it, and that's the end of the story. But this whole thing, you got to respect everyone. Listen, There's so many people in this country I have no respect for, and I can name names. And there's even people that I know personally. I don't have a lot of respect for them. That's just like another word that people like to show up, but should just throw out there to make them virtue signal. Oh, I respect people and respect. I don't. That doesn't mean I leave people alone I don't respect. I mean, that's the whole thing. We want to be united. I don't want to be united. I just want to be left alone. I'm not looking to unite with everyone because believe me, a lot of people's ideas are totally wacky, or the way they live their lives are just completely different from me. And I'm a pretty open-minded person, but I just hate the way we've kind of encouraged this kind of, it's just virtue signaling nonsense. Anyway, I did like Vanilla Ice. And do you guys know the story about him and Suge Knight?
No, I know Suge Knight has a bad reputation for taking care of people that don't get along
he's
with
a real,
him.
Suge Knight is a legitimate gangster.
He's in prison now, I think.
Yeah, I think he's been in and out. He could be back. He's a bad dude, but he was at a hotel, and I forget the song. We could have done this, but I didn't. I'm just thinking of it now. There's a song, one of Vanilla Ice's big songs, and the music to it in the beginning sounds exactly like one of Suge Knight's rappers who he was representing. So he showed up at a hotel looking for Vanilla Ice. Maybe it was like the rap concert or whatever. Told Vanilla Ice, listen, we want to get commission on this thing. You stole those. What do they call that? Are you guys musicians? What do you call the riff or whatever? That it was a riff. Whatever the musical riff was, they said the Vanilla Ice stole it. And when I heard them played next to each other, it sounded like he did. So Suge Knight picked Vanilla Ice up to make him agree to pay them some type of compensation. Hung him off by 2 feet off of like a 10-story hotel. Hung him by his feet off the balcony, and Vanilla Ice cut a deal. So like I said before, he's a smart guy. He's going to go play the show. Suge Knight is hanging him over a balcony about to drop him. He cuts a deal. He's no dummy. And that's why he's playing in the 250 celebration. But there are a lot of old acts there. Wouldn't you think a 250-year celebration would have gotten like some more premier kind of acts? But I guess in this day and age, with the way politics are. Another thing, I want to do a cultural thing. The country, like, I don't want to make a big deal about who won't go or who would go. We are so fragmented culturally that even the biggest bands in the world don't need to show up for a big celebration of 250 years of America. It's kind of like we're all doing our own thing and we're all in our own bubble. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I think you even see it in red states versus blue states. It's like people are now fragmenting. They're moving to states based on their politics and values. Like that whole unified America, you know what it is? We have a lot more choices too. I mean, I grew up, you had 5 stations because you lived near New York. So you had 5 TV stations. You lived somewhere else, you only had 3, ABC, NBC, and CBS. But this fragmentation is going on. And I don't think it's a terrible thing. I think it gives people more choices and more freedom. Like we're not, what people would want us to do is all be so unified that it's easier to manage us all. It would be easier to dictate to us. But that's not what's going on. So I don't look at it as a negative. Some other conservatives would come on here and start telling you how bad it is and how we're not unified and we don't celebrate the same things. You know what? I think the fragmentation is good because I sure do not want to live in a blue state, even though I have a home in one and I grew up there and I loved growing up there and I'm still invested in it. I'd rather be in a free red state. And if you live in New Jersey, there's a red state we got to solidify, and that's Pennsylvania. Trump's success. I'm going to get into that. But I think my producers might want me. Let me take a break. That way I don't have to interrupt. I'm going to go over some of Trump's successes because too many of us are acting on the Republican side are disappointed and acting like malcontents. So I just want to remind you what has happened in the last year and a half, and I'll do that right when we get back from this break.
You can now tune in to Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the iHeartRadio app.
Attention all dog owners. If you have ever listened to the radio or TV for any length of time, you've probably heard of America's #1 dog supplement, Rough Greens. Greetings, naturopathy Dr. Dennis Black, Amazon best-selling author and founder of Rough Greens here. And if your dog suffers from bad breath, itchy skin, licking paws, joint pain, or low energy, the truth is their food is probably to blame. You see, all commercial dog food is dead food. That's why I created Rough Greens. One daily scoop gives your pup the live vitamins, omega oils, probiotics, and enzymes that will bring their food back to life. Don't believe me? Let your dog try it before you buy it. I'll send you a free Jumpstart trial bag, risk-free. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Use discount code NEWS. Don't wait. Give your dog the gift of vibrant health. Order now. It'll be at your house in a few days. Go to roughgreens.com. That's RUFFgreens.com. Discount code NEWS for your free Jumpstart trial bag today. Rough Green. We make any dog food better.
Hey, this is Larry Steinhaus with Investor Schooling. Listen, I know sometimes you worry about coming to see me because you don't want to invest in real estate, because you don't want to deal with toilets, trash, or tenants. I'm going to teach you a way that you don't have to deal with toilets, trash, or tenants, or even own any real estate and invest in real estate at the same time. You want to learn this, so go to investorschooling.com. That's investorschooling.com and take a complimentary class this Thursday, and I promise you, no toilets, no trash, no tenants.
Tune in to the Crash Proof Retirement Show Saturdays at 11 a.m. to hear Joanne Small-Canella and Tracy Stillman. The Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturday mornings at 11 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
My obstructive hypertrophic cardiomyopathy kept me from baseball games with my boys. The stairs were too much. With Camzyos, my symptoms have improved and I can be more active again. Camzyos is a cardiac myosin inhibitor, the first in its class to treat adults with symptomatic OHCM. Camzyos may improve your symptoms and ability to be active, and it reduced obstruction in the heart 4 times more.
In a 30-week study, Camzyos, mavacamten, reduced post-exercise obstruction on average 47 units of pressure versus 10 with placebo. Results may vary. Camzyos may cause serious side effects, including heart failure that can lead to death, a risk that's increased with serious infection, irregular heartbeat, or with certain other medicines. Do not stop, start, or change medicines or dose without telling your doctor. You must have echocardiograms before and during treatment. Seek help for new or worsening heart failure symptoms. Camzyos is only available through a restricted program. Before taking, tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and current or planned pregnancy, as Camzyos may harm your unborn baby.
Visit Camzyos.com or call 1-855-CAMZYOS. Actor portrayal.
Summer is right around the corner, and that means wind, rain, and roofing problems. When it comes to protecting your home, go with the real deal. Impriano Roofing, Siding, Windows, and Doors. Family owned and operated for 53 years. One of the only roofing companies still run by the original family. They're the experts in the industry. That's experience, integrity. That's the real deal. Call 610-644-4444 for your free estimate today. The best homes have an Impriano roof.
For more expert appliance shopping advice, here's National Appliance Warehouse's own appliance guru.
Any appliance retailer can say they offer the lowest prices and claim they deliver the best customer experience. But how do they hold themselves accountable? At National Appliance Warehouse, we use Price Assure to guarantee we're honoring our lowest price promise. We'll expertly help you navigate over 100 brands on display to ensure you select the perfect appliances, treating you like friends or family throughout. And within 24 hours of our skilled professionals delivering and installing your appliances, a National Appliance Warehouse associate will call to make sure you're happy. If your other appliance retailer didn't do that, it might be time to switch to National Appliance Warehouse.
Backed by popular demand, it's the Friends and Family Savings Event at National Appliance Warehouse. Save 34% on select GE appliances. Browse an unmatched collection of GE, Cafe, GE Profile, and Monogram appliances. Click nationalappliancewarehouse.com or visit their showroom in tax-free Wilmington today.
Broadcasting live from the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios.
Powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Welcome back to 1210 WPHT, playing a little Vanilla Ice. And Matt DeSantis just told me that one of those riffs that he might have stole and got hung over the balcony by Suge Knight cost him about $3 to $4 million. I guess it was a smart deal. He was making a lot of money then, and if a guy's hanging you off a balcony at over 10 stories, you don't have much of a chance. So you might want to cut that deal, which he did. And because of that, Vanilla Ice is still with us, and he's now going to be celebrating at the 250th anniversary. Think what could have happened if he didn't cut the deal. But he did, and now you'll get to see him. He'll be the only one there, and good for him. I like that he's showing up. And my understanding is Dan from Mount Laurel is on the air, and he wanted to talk about this 250th celebration. Dan, are you with us here on 1210 WPHT?
I sure am. How you doing, Tom?
How are you, Dan? What do you got?
Well, you mentioned the bicentennial and how you were a kid during the bicentennial. I don't know if you're from Philly, if you were talking about Philly, but I'm originally from Philly. And the bicentennial, my dad sold souvenirs on Fifth Street off a market right across from the old Jewish Museum. But the bicentennial, lasted the summer of 75, the summer of 76, and the summer of 77. I want to know what's going on with Philly now. I'm actually rather angry that Philly didn't start this in 75. And you pretty much explained a lot. The culture is completely different.
Yeah, no, listen, and I remembered I was actually born in New York, but I was raised over in North Jersey. And in school, the bicentennial was huge. All the ships came into New York Harbor. But what you're saying, we prepared for it. It was like part of the culture for more than just that summer. It started a year before and it kept going.
Well, but I mean, as a souvenir, as somebody, in the tourists, making money from tourists, I mean, you made money. They were getting ready for, they were celebrating the summer of 76 and the summer of 75. And then, and then it lasted into 77. I mean, I could never imagine something like that happening today, especially in Philadelphia, or anywhere actually, that the thing would, we were getting ready for it in 74. It's coming, and when you talked about the way the culture has changed now, I can't, the way Philadelphia has changed, and you probably know with New York City, I can't imagine half of the people in Philadelphia being patriotic anymore. I mean, I grew up there from, I was 10 in 1976, to give you an idea. And, I grew up there, and I think I was patriotic from the day I was born. And I don't.
No, you're hitting on something, Dan, and what it's making me think too. I came to Philadelphia when I was 23, so I've lived in Center City on and off for 10 years. In the suburbs of Philly, I started 2 businesses. I became Philly, but right. You just brought something up. You would think Philadelphia and the local business organizations, the political leadership in this state. I haven't heard anything, but exactly. I haven't heard anything. Are you still in the Philly area?
I'm in South Jersey. You couldn't pay me to live in Philly anymore.
No. I get that.
Yeah, I'm in Mount Laurel. I'm 20 minutes, from the river.
Yeah, right. You're in the Philly area, but me and you we're seeing the same thing. Nobody is going after that 250-year celebration. It's and I don't want to blame it all on politics, but politics has a big part of it because this country we are divided down the line. But the other thing too is culturally, there's just so many more choices. And in a way we're fragmented. It is disappointing because it was such a wonderful time, but I don't think it's coming back. And I'm one of those people, if we're on to a new frontier, that's just the way it's going to be. But Dan, that was a great call. Thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, no worries. And I'm just hoping it comes back by the tricentennial.
Well, we won't be here for, well, you never know. Maybe science will keep us here. But Dan, great call. Thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it. Okay, that's Dan is right. It was huge. It was good stuff. It was very unifying. But that's not happening, and I'm fine with it. I'm unified. I think you go where your people are. And a lot of that has to do with political persuasion, political culture. You go where those people are. And I'll say this about the Republican Party or the MAGA Party or Trump Party. It is such a diverse party now. I mean, it's a lot funner than it used to be. Instead of the old, the country club corporate guys talking tax cuts, and then you had a lot of influence from the Christian conservatives. MAGA's a lot wilder, hot girls, partying, sex, rock and roll. There's a lot of good stuff in MAGA now for everybody. That's my point. It's a little looser. It's a little libertine. That doesn't mean we don't have our Christian faith people. Doesn't mean we don't have our corporate people and our country club people. But we have our working class people. We have people of all colors and all religions. It's all good. I think MAGA is a much better party than what the Republican Party was. If you want to go back to Reagan or so, but it's so long ago. It's, 50 years now, but there's a new era, and I like this party. It's a funner time. I'm having a good time with this party. You should come to a Trump boat parade in Florida. It's unbelievable. You should see the women out on the boats. Amazing. Anyway, I'm going to talk about a guy that, who is not in our party. Oh, I don't even have a clip for him, but it doesn't make a difference. Everyone's going to wonder why I'm talking about this guy, because it kind of follows what we were just talking about with the celebration of the country. Okay, the Black Crow singer, Chris Robinson. Did my producers hear this story at all today? Did you hear about this, guys?
No, I was just asking Justin. Do you know anything about this story? Because I'm interested now.
Yeah.
I'm an invested listener.
There you go. It's great when your own producers decide to listen to you. So anyway, I was a fan of the Black Crows back in the 90s. I saw them in Philadelphia. ZZ Top opened up for them. It's such a fun night. It's like one of those concerts it was their first album, I think, Shake Your Moneymaker or whatever. So he's down in Florida in Tampa, and they have this thing, Uncle Sam Crow, which comes up on the stage on the big screen behind him. And when the band's playing, that Uncle Sam pops up and the fans start chanting USA, kind of like the Eagles cheer. Sometimes it could be annoying, but who cares? They're chanting USA. And he says, well, he doesn't, you should always know your audience, right? He says something like, oh, thanks for the geography lesson. He says that to the microphone out to the people as they're saying the USA chant, like kind of an insult. And then he says, so the chant gets a little bit louder. USA, USA, because they saw the Uncle Sam Crow. And he goes, what do you have to be so proud of now? He's getting political, right? The Tampa crowd, Florida crowd's not happy. They keep chanting. And here's the thing about this guy. He's a miserable guy. I mean, him and his brother, they were kind of like the Oasis brothers who kept kicking the crap out of each other, that they had a split for like 10 years. But this is why I find this guy a phony now. And I'm a fan. Or I was a fan, but they did make good music. They came like in the 90s with that kind of like rock and roll, like the Rolling Stones. They were calling them like the new Rolling Stones. But at one point, and not too long ago in an interview, he said he was an artist, poet, and a musician and not into politics. He stated that he was like non-political, but he's full of it. Everybody in that concert in Tampa knows he's full of it, because he said, what are you so proud of now? He's talking down about Trump, talking down about MAGA, talking down about the country. listen, he can do it all he wants. Bruce Springsteen does it all the time, and it seems like people don't mind it. They still go, or some love him and they don't care, or some believe in it. But whatever. But at least Springsteen, he's into politics. I also think he's bipolar, but that's another diagnosis. Just like I think Andy Kim is low T. I think he has testosterone issues. When I saw him run out with that ill-fitting suit, he's getting chubby. He looks like he's morphing into something. And I make these diagnoses on radio, or I'll do it at a bar, I'll do it anywhere. But there's two there for you on Bruce Springsteen and Senator Andy Kim. I want to be respectful. But anyway, he's obviously into politics. He lied about it, and the Florida Crown pushed back on him. He was actually married to Kate Hudson. But listen, this is one of those guys. He's been addicted to cocaine and booze and pills, fighting with his brother, kicking the crap out of each other. He broke up the band. And now I think what happens with a lot of people, the term is a sober sage. And he's not completely sober. I hear he still smokes a lot of weed. But like once people go through things, they mess up their whole life, they drink, they get addicted or whatever, then they come out of it. Then they're like some enlightened kind of human being. And he's probably kind of got a little bit of that disease. Like, I'm a sober sage. I now understand everything since I screwed up my whole life to such a degree. And then I had to fight my way back. Thank God I had a lot of money in the bank to pay for all my mistakes. Because when you make bad life decisions, when it comes to addictions, if you're loaded, it's a lot easier to overcome a lot of the problems that you've caused. You kind of buy your way out of trouble. That's just a viewpoint I have. Some can have a ton of money and never get out of it and just go into the abyss. But I think that's kind of what his feeling is now, that he knows more than the people out in the Tampa office. And he showed his feelings about the country, their president, and he's telling him, you have nothing to be proud of. And that is definitely a left-leaning kind of thing, like to kind of lecture people, that virtue signaling. And I think that's what he was doing, and it blew back in his face. And to be honest with you, this is why we're talking about no one celebrating the 250-year thing. This defragmentation, I'm calling it, I think it's positive. People go to where they want to go now, where people share their values. And I think that's, and I said it before, I think that's a positive thing. It's natural sorting and organic. When you got all these elites telling you how to live, how to think, how to do this, how to do that. And that's what the federal government is. It got so big that every citizen got smaller. But believe me, it's weakening, it's cracking. And I do believe the power is now fragmenting back to a lot of these states. But here's another thing you would have seen in before the Trump era, and the Trump era started in 2015. At a concert, if someone came out to badmouth America or tell you and lecture you about how America's no good anymore, or whatever they were going to go off as a sober sage, a lot of people would have sat quietly. And some might have clapped lightly, but you know what? Trump broke that spell. And I'm so glad he broke that spell. And listen, the left can do it too. I'm not telling them to sit there quietly. They can scream and yell for all they want. Their problem is they get violent. And then we got to handle them with kid gloves. Like now we need 100 cops to control 10 people, where we really needed only 10 cops to control 100 people. And if you spoke out back then, people would start, calling you all the terrible things. You're a racist or white supremacist, or whatever they would call you. But that's my takedown of Chris Robinson. Maybe I actually have a little bit more about him. Maybe I'll do that after this break. We're going to go to break. We're going to come back and we're going to wrap up the show, but we'll be back.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
If you're struggling to hear conversations, TV, or the people you love, now there's an easier, more affordable solution without spending thousands. Audion Hearing makes high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98 with free shipping and dedicated one-on-one support in the comfort of your own home. No doctor's offices, no pressure. Clearer hearing delivered right to your door. Join over 1 million happy customers hearing life more clearly. Visit audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Hit the road this season to watch the Birds. Book your road trip with Fans of Philly. Trips are available now for Nashville, Arizona, Chicago, and London. Travel in style with transportation, a pregame party, and game tickets to enjoy the Birds on the road this season with Fans of Philly. The official travel partner of 94 WIP and the Eagles Radio Network. Book now at fansofphilly.com. That's fans with a PH of Philly.com.
This is the energy of the Acura Integra. The energy of speed. With available Type S 320 horsepower VTEC turbo engine. And the energy of control. With available 6-speed manual transmission. The Acura Integra. This is the energy of innovation. Acura. Precision crafted performance.
Visit Piazza Acura of Ardmore, Reading, or Westchester for a test drive today.
A well-organized home isn't a luxury, it's a practical upgrade. Closet Factory designs and installs custom storage for closets, pantries, garages, and home offices, built to fit your space and your needs. You'll work with a designer, choose the look, and get professional installation, so the project stays simple and the results last. Start with a free design consultation at closetfactory.com. That's closetfactory.com.
Living here is about more than just the headlines. It's the new restaurant opening in Fishtown. It's the playoff energy at the bank. It's the festivals that make your neighborhood feel like home.
KYW News Radio brings you the pulse of the Delaware Valley. From service journalism that solves problems to stories that celebrate our culture, we cover the life you're actually living.
Authentic, local, factual. KYW News Radio, Philadelphia's most trusted news source.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I am grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Veterans and active duty service members. When your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Hey, Royers Ford, remember to tell your smart speaker to play 1210 WPHT.
All right. Welcome back to 1210 WPHT. This is Tom Azelby. I love that song, and I just threw Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes under the bus. But he deserved it. That doesn't mean I don't like his music. Doesn't mean I wouldn't go see him. I don't take it that personally. But they did make some great music. So I'll give them a little plug, man. Start listening to the Black Crowes. They got some good stuff. Who else who has also great music is Newman Price, man. He knocked out a song today for me, coming in at the 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock hour. That stuff I really like that. Also got to give a writing credit to Justin Otero. I think he contributed. They collaborated a little bit on that. Yeah, you got to get Justin.
It's all Newman. Nah, it's all Newman.
Well, no, I know. Hey, listen, Newman is the creator. There's no doubt about it. But guys get writing credits, and you made a little bit of a contribution there. Some say a big contribution. I don't want to get in the middle of that. But
no, I'm glad that we have Newman Price who's able to, as I told you during the break, somebody had asked because normally he'll make the AI openings for all of our hosts, but he does all of the instrumental himself, and that's like the most impressive part. And he cranked it out in like 25 minutes. That entire thing that you heard at the opening of the 4 and 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah. I loved it. And I think now that you have a writing credit with Newman Price, that just brings you way up there too. You're associated with one of his songs, like being with the Rolling Stones or the Doors. Or,
Suge Knight's gonna dangle Justin off a balcony. Yeah.
All right. That's I love it. Okay. What are we going to get to? Trump's success. I mean, Republicans there's a lot of panicins, but I'm going to have to ramble through this pretty quick because I don't have a lot of time. But every once in a while, even in your life, you got to do an inventory of your life to calm yourself down, to understand that you're doing good, you're doing well, you're doing as better than some, maybe not as good as others, but to do an inventory. And I hear so much out there in the MAGA ecosystem, oh my God, like everything's falling apart. And you're wrong. It's not. And I'm going to give you a couple of figures before I get off the air today. Border, negative net migration. Overall, we got more people leaving the country than coming in because we were overwhelmed. The border is locked down. Fentanyl going down. Strain on cities. Crime, housing, healthcare. You got all these people not coming into these cities, poor people with a lot of needs. Everything improves from your emergency room to your crime statistics to your prisons to your housing. This is all thanks to Trump. Energy production is going through the roof. There is a drastic price reduction coming. Get ready. Just be patient. We have massive energy production. This is historical. Even the amount of exporting that's going on is huge. So stop being a crybaby at the gas pump. It will go away, and it's better than when the last guy was there. And it's going to get much better. Inflation is at 3.8%. The target is 2%. Biden wrote it up to 9%, and he averaged, I think, 4.95%. Inflation is going to come down. The tax cuts, you'd all be getting more taken out of your door. If that Massey had his way, you'd all be getting more taxes taken out of your paycheck. If Tom Massey was the president, or we all listened to him, because that would have blown up everything with your taxes. But anyway, Trump locked them down. Violent crime is down because it's a culture. You know what improves things better than law enforcement, that reduces drug, is a culture. And the Trump culture has violent crime is down because he's accelerated a culture that no one wants to tolerate crime. Under Joe Biden, it was like, oh, that's just the way it is. You get beat over the head, good luck. Here's another thing. We have $200 billion into the Treasury. $200 billion. And guess where that $200 billion came from? That's a lot of money, folks. That came from the tariffs. $200 billion. They think by the end of this year, 2 years, Trump will have collected $300 billion into the U.S. Treasury. That in itself helps lower inflation because the U.S. Treasury doesn't have to borrow or print as much money. Fraud prosecutions, federal, everyone's like, oh, no one's getting arrested. You are going to see historical numbers, you already are, of nonprofits, individuals, illegals who are ripping off federal and state governments with Medicaid, Medicare. There are arrests going on now, and they're only going to accelerate. Another thing is the DOJ and the U.S. Treasury. I have more, but you know what? I got to go. It was a great show. I had a great time today. And anyway, thanks to my producers, Thanks to Newman Price. You made my day, brother. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. I got more to say. Have a great night.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or biglou.com.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTax